I don't feed back over the stream. At least I don't think I will.
Okay, just understand, man. In 2 weeks, you ain't gonna have to worry about being stressed out no more, because Thanos is coming.
Yes.
And by the looks of it, people gonna die. And then 2 weeks after that, Deadpool is coming, and he's gonna make fun of all that. I think we live, but looks like Shadow went quiet for a little bit. He's trying to get his headphones out, so I'm just gonna give him a little minute to go roll here. I have no idea. I forgot what we were talking about, so people just bear with us. Okay, there we go. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. Seriously, oh boy, he can't see it.
Just had to switch some stuff up. That's all.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
And this is why I just press go live at any time. I just don't really give a fuck. So. And this is why I just press go live.
Okay, was that me? Because that sounded really weird.
Yeah, everything's phasing. I don't care. I just don't really care. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to welcome to podcasting in 2018. So, how you feeling, man?
I feel suitable.
Oh God, man, this is just one of those things, man. I'm gonna go ahead and run through this real quick, and then we should be good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on that note, people, yes, Masters of the Universe, for some reason, Hollywood still wants to do a live action one. Those guys know.
Oh man, so ShadowCast 30, and in glorious form, we have all kind of audio issues and trouble and delays and whatnot. So the issue is, and I was talking about this offline before we started, Google has a known issue, and by known I mean somebody complained about it on a message board, and then nobody from Google answered it. So if anybody from Google is watching this, you got to imagine some robot somewhere is listening to this. Any mic, USB, coax, XLR, or whatever, running through any browser on the Mac has issues with Google Hangouts. After about an hour or so, you start sounding like Unicron, which I'm pretty sure followers of mine, you've experienced that quite a bit. So, in an attempt to skirt around that issue and use another platform, me and my extreme laziness and preference to do better things, like, I don't know, drink Bacardi, I decided to go find just go ahead and use this instead of trying to find a webcam for the PC behind it. So it is what it is.
It's the ghost of Steve Jobs.
Yes. Yeah, the ghost of Steve Jobs. It's, what was it, Black Steve Jobs? Somebody called me a couple of videos ago. But, oh, man. So
he hated Google, man. Lord knows that man hated Google.
Oh, God. What do you I guess do we roll back to 29? Because I was gonna have you and a couple of the original Gamers at Large people on here, and we were supposed to talk about the whole Nintendo Switch 1 year later type situation. Everybody that was wrong. I kind of went over that enough, but
Dude, I'm here to support.
how do you feel? Do you feel the Nintendo Switch was a worthwhile purchase? Do you feel that it was a flop? Like people try to say the Wii U was, because I enjoyed the Wii U after the first year.
Man, I enjoyed the Wii U. I still enjoy the Wii U now. So I'm gonna be honest with you. It has Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
There you go.
Your question.
There you go. Game of the year.
Your question. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a Zelda head. So yeah, you give me that, it's getting bought.
Yep.
So that and to be honest, the whole thing with the Wii U, and we've talked about this before. That to me was such a setup by the gaming community. It's not even funny at this point. Simply because like you had people who they know the systems, they get the systems before we even get to look at them, claiming they didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
You get like so to me it was like a whole setup. It was kind of like a concerted effort to like, you know, I don't want to say try and sabotage it, but they knew what they were doing, because to me it just didn't make any sense. And now all of a sudden, and some people might think I'm hating on the Switch, but the Switch ain't nothing really but Wii U 2.0.
Pretty much, it's the Wii U again.
Yeah.
You fell for it.
Yeah, you fell for it. Basically what they're saying, you fell for it. I thought y'all didn't like this. Now everybody loved it. It's so bad to the point that even IGN and your favorite person that loves you so much responded to you personally after we had to pull out like video of him bashing.
I'm over there like, bitch, I got the receipts.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here like they sitting there pretending like they love it. I'm like, no, you didn't. You spent like weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and so much so to the point that they had a podcast to prove they wasn't fanboys.
Exactly. Well, I love my Wii U, but like, motherfucker,
no, you don't.
You wouldn't even spend your own money on a game for the Wii U. You wait until the office got one, and then you
lying mother. But anyway, yeah. Me personally, I enjoy my Switch.
Yes, Brian Altano. For those that are wondering in the chat, yeah. Brian Altano. Yes. Yeah. Brap. Motherfucker.
And then, first of all, Mr. Altano, he really need to like chill out with that trying to be hard on the internet crap. But anyway,
a leather jacket doesn't make you cool.
Yeah,
it just means you get slapped with a leather jacket on. Like I don't. What are you doing? Whatever.
But me personally, I think it's a fun system. I enjoy it. I play it. Just like I said, I played my Wii U. I mean, to me, because I had a person ask me when I was doing a live stream last week. I'm not last week, week before last. What do I think about it? I'm like, dude, if you do your research before you get anything, or you find out like what kind of games what kind of games you like, you will never be mad at whatever purchase you make.
Exactly,
because we live in an information age, and you can't lie and pretend like, oh, I didn't know.
The fuck you knew.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can find out what Kim Kardashian had for lunch, you can do what you need to do to find whatever answer you need to find. And that's what I believe personally. So me personally, yeah, I mean, I never make a bad purchase when it comes to me as far as these games are concerned, because I do my due diligence.
Yeah, folks just they go first. It's so funny to me because they'll doom it. You know, somebody said in the chat already, they'll doom it to hell and back. Oh, well, look at the specs. It's going to be horrible. It's not going to get the support. And then when the system doesn't get said support due to, I mean, I won't say that press has 100% of financial impact on a console or games released or anything like that, but it doesn't help. And then when that stuff happens, and then there's fallout, and then developers are dropping the system left and right, then you're over there like, oh, well, there's no games to play, and all the developers are not blah blah blah. Motherfucker, you said they weren't gonna do it. You basically spoke it into existence, and then when it happened, you act like you're sad about it. Like, I love my Wii U, but it can't run a game like this, which is a lie number one, because guess what? Switch is doing it at half the voltage of even the Wii U, which was extremely lower voltage. Get rid of the bullshit. Like we know tech advances at some point, but all Switch is doing is saying all the developers' lies from previously. I mean,
they lied.
They were lies because.
I mean, it got so bad that Damon Hatfield pretty much put third parties on blast about when Doom dropped.
Yeah.
He put them on blast. He's like, there's no excuse. There was never an excuse. Y'all just bought into it.
Exactly. And those same people, it's so funny though, because those same people initially, when the Switch was announced, they were thinking these games weren't possible still. Because there's like, oh, well, it can't be powerful enough. And I'm like, but the CPU is stronger than both of those other two platforms. And that's what I'm thinking. And a lot of these engines are CPU bound for the most part. So I'm like, why wouldn't it be able to run? And, you know, as long as you're able to render anything in HD on the GPU side of things, like, what's stopping you from, oh, well, the physics. I'm like, that's a CPU task. Takes up a lot of RAM. Switch has enough RAM. It happens. Like, I don't, it's like, because they talk to certain people that, and their quote unquote tech insider is their, I won't say their web developer, but their social media guy, and he likes PC. And because he builds PCs, you're gonna reference him as to what's in a custom piece of hardware. I'm like, motherfucker is doing Legos with electronic parts and putting them in a box and calling himself an aficionado on tech. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it really doesn't work that way.
I mean, not dissing, like, you know, I think a week or so ago, like OJ put a post on Twitter saying, hey, I built my own PC or whatever. And he was talking about, you know, Alex helping him and all this other kind of stuff, you know, shout out to him or whatever. Old school gamers at large, but I whatever, say what you will about things that happened back then. But yeah, it's just so he was throwing his computer together. I mean, it's literally Lego blocks. You take this goes here, this goes here. Power supplies are modular now. You don't have to do stuff like solder extra cable on. None of that shit is needed anymore. And if it dies, you take that motherfucker out, put it back in there, and then you don't even have to move your cords anymore. No, because it's all modular. So you just take that plug out and plug another. I mean, it's literally plug and play now. There's in 2018, if you can't put a PC together, I don't know what to tell you. With Legos, you probably have trouble with Legos.
Well, because that's what, when you open it up, and if you think we lying, just open yours up.
Yes, it's not hard anymore.
You will see exactly where everything is. Just open it up.
Even the cheap parts are easy to assemble now. Like there was a time where, you know, if you wanted to skimp and you wanted to be cheap or whatever, you got a cheap power supply. There's cables running every fucking where, and they might not give you the right voltage, and you might have some problems. Nowadays, even the cheaper ones are modular and allow all the cables are universal. So, you know, there's zero excuses at this point now. But and then IGN says a person like that is who they're going to go to and say, looking at these specs here on paper, let's build a PC that has the same specs. And that's what kind of perform. What? No.
Yeah.
How about try running that game without Windows running in the background? For starters, and not to mention all the other custom tasks, the task scheduler and all the other crons that happen in the background on top of Windows or before the Windows kernel even exists. There's other executables that happen as part of the x86 architecture that happen even before you even get to that level. So all of that stuff is gone when you're dealing with a custom console. So I don't even know, like you can't even get a roundabout figure. You can't even get a ballpark figure of what type of performance you get on customized hardware with a custom OS and firmware versus those same specifications on a Windows PC. Like it's night and day. Just look at Wii U. Look at Wii U. Look at Mario Kart 8. And then look how that shit struggles on high-end PCs being emulated. Oh, well, I can put 4K textures on there. I'll be like, well, I mean, please tell me why the collision detection is shit. Why we got textures missing? What's going on? Why can't you? I mean, the Wii U handled this game just fine. What's the problem?
Yep.
So you went through all this trouble to try to hack it and try to emulate it. It should be pretty simple. It should be easy. But no, they have issues. There's custom ways they stream stuff because they know how to do that with that hardware. ASAP Rail in the house. What's going on? Nintendo examiner. Okay, all right. We almost popular in this motherfucker. Okay, great. Sorry if I'm cursing. This is a ShadowCast, so we do that. Also, Bacardi break. So this is what we do right here. So
I would have mine, but Bacardi's been putting me to sleep lately, so I can't drink Bacardi at night no more. Because I had a couple shots the other night. I woke up at 6 o'clock. Don't even remember how I got in the bathroom.
Yeah. That's just one of those things. I've heard horrible things about Fireball as well. And that's not even really. That's not high proof alcohol. I think the strongest one I seen was 60%, but Fireball have people. They tell me stories.
Can we be honest? Fireball is nothing but scope.
Yeah,
it's drinkable scope.
Yeah, and that's just maybe that's what it is. Maybe it makes people drink it faster than they need to.
Yeah.
On Mark Bryant. Yeah, let me go ahead and mention that. Yeah. So because of YouTube's policies, make sure you hit the like button. If you're subscribed to me, make sure you also bang the bell. Bang that motherfucking bell like other YouTubers say or whatever. Yeah. So because apparently subscribing is not enough. You won't get my stuff and you won't know what's happening or whatever. Like half of you probably didn't know that I sent out notifications on Twitter, on Google Plus, and on YouTube. You probably didn't get any of them. You were just like, oh shit, he's online and clicked on here.
Yeah.
So
you gotta ring the bell, peeps.
Yeah, you got to do it now because Google, they came out and said exactly what they're doing. Basically, it costs a lot of money to host all these videos and to keep all these content databases up, and keep them updated constantly. So when I have a new video or whatever, somewhere, some colo that Google is paid for, they're running database servers like constantly to get them updated. And they're like, well, if we do that shit periodically instead of every 60 seconds, we could save this much money in costs. So that's part of it. Mr. T did a real long video on it. Shout out to him too. He was gonna try to make it tonight, but he's a little under the weather. So shout out Mr. T. But yeah, Google's a fool, man. They got to pinch pennies, I guess, at some point. Maybe those ads aren't paying as much as they thought they would, but so bang the bell so you can get more content from us. So are we gonna be on topic on this one? I don't want to talk. If I talk about the first topic that's listed here,
what's first topic?
I'm probably gonna do a little bit of shit talking.
Okay, what's first topic?
The whole Scrum Ventures deal with Nintendo. So, and I'm not going to say that it's directly targeted at Super Metal Dave, but he posted something about it initially, and he was saying that hey, this means that it's gonna be a while and Nintendo might come up with an announcement with whoever this team is. So the deal is Scrum Ventures made this deal with Nintendo. Scrum Ventures, they're just a venture capital fund company, and all they do is they find talent basically to build a new company. That new company either goes public or merges with another company, and then Scrum Ventures gets the fuck on. They take their percentage and then they go find another client to do a deal with. So, and so I saw this and I looked in the past. It doesn't take long. Like if you follow these guys on Fortune magazine or any other business things out there, or you could just look any of the IT newsletters out there. Scrum Ventures has been doing stuff like this for years, and they have a vested interest in tech on the Japanese side of things as well. Basically, I think they have a lot of correspondents out there to help broker deals. So I guess the US and Japan get a lot of startups, and they help each other on the tech side of things, getting businesses started. As far as, hey, this company X needs help developing, I don't know, let's say virtual reality or or augmented reality or something like that. And we have a company over here in America that's looking to get started. And what better thing to do than get started with, I don't know, Fujitsu or whatever. And then basically they create the deal between them, start up this new company, pay for them to get started. And then all of a sudden you see a press release saying, you know, either these two companies are merged or they reached an agreement over the next 6 to 10 years or whatever doing tech. And then Scrum Ventures is gone. They're like, what? We got our money and we're out. So,
that makes sense.
So what I was trying to tell Super Metal Dave at the time was, this is like a 6 to 9 month deal and they're out of there. So whatever, there's stuff that's on the page, but please understand Scrum Ventures makes a new page for every single deal they make with a company. When they say, hey, we're looking for a technology enthusiast to give us a pitch. And when you give us a pitch, we're going to bring Fujitsu or Panasonic or whoever we have a deal with at the time to the table with you to come up with a deal and see if you guys could come up with some type of merger or some type of public trust between each other and you guys make money together or whatever. They've done this and it's like extremely quick turnaround. I think for Panasonic, it was a matter of 3 months before they found somebody and then they were out of the picture and then they went on from there. So I was trying to bring that and of course on Twitter, it never comes out the way you want it to. I was trying to bring that forward to Super Metal Dave because I would imagine that he would kind of want this information being that he has a tech channel just like I do and other people out there or whatever. And he would want to be about that. So he just points me back to the fact page of the Nintendo. I forget the name of the fake merger name they came up with. It doesn't matter because that name's going to go away probably within another couple of months here. What's the name of that thing? I can't think of the name of it. Anybody know the name of it in the chat? Give me the name of the fucking Nintendo Plus or whatever it's supposed to be. Nintendo Plus Tech, I guess is what it's supposed to be. But Nintendo is they're trying to find somebody in the tech field to do this or whatever. But anyway, the point being is that Scrum Ventures is going to do this. They're going to set up a business meeting. Basically, they're going to get a list of individuals, gather all their information, and then say, you know, within 3 months, we'll give you time to give a proposal. In 6 months, we'll give you time to line up, and then somebody makes a decision. And then 9 months later, that's the final pitch. And then after the final pitch is approved and received, now there's nothing else Nintendo can do with you per se. Now you have the money from venture capital to start your own company and then announce a deal at that point. So that's when out of nowhere, you know, DNA says, oh, we have an unprecedented partnership with Nintendo, stuff like that. So I was just trying to bring that forward, and then we're like, oh, well, it's going to be a very long time before anybody sees it. No, there will be a press release before the end of this year. Is kind of what I was trying to say because that's how they work. And there was a guy, I guess, that is trying to defend him on Twitter or whatever that went back and forth with me for the longest time, saying absolutely nothing. And then when I said that, you know, hey, this is how this company works. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Look into their history before you try to check me on this shit because I know how they work. And then, you know, of course, I just get, oh, well, snide remark from you. You're just talking in circles. Like, no, I was saying the exact same thing I was saying from the very beginning. You just wanted to argue something else and then insert a fucking fake page. I mean, that page with Nintendo doesn't matter at all because it has nothing to do with the company that's going to come out of this deal. So all this is just a page to tell you how the process works before you're ever a company. It means absolutely nothing.
Well,
so
Shadow, you shouldn't have argued in circles.
Well, you know, hey, has nobody ever seen a shell webpage before? Have you never seen?
Well, if you're not, we have because we're in the industry that does a lot of this. So we have. But if you haven't, or you're not in like the business field or the finance field or the tech field, you probably haven't seen it. You probably think it's a legit site.
No, this ain't me talking shit, but why would you have a tech channel? That's a serious question at that point. That ain't me talking shit. I mean, I know certain people.
That is true.
And even if you want to be that individual, when certain information is brought to you, you don't even fucking acknowledge it. That's
Well,
you know,
and some
he
people
can come on here now. He can. I'm not gonna talk. I'm not gonna talk behind the man back. If he want to come on here, he can come on here. I just found that really odd that when I brought that forward, he didn't even reply, and then later on made another reply talking to nobody. Like he didn't even mention me, but then he quoted the fact, and then one of his flunkies came and started arguing with me. So I'm like, it's just a tad bit frustrating.
I can understand that, but I think some people it's a pride thing too. Because like when some people have the hardest time saying, "Okay, look, let me look into that," because apparently I missed something. Like I have no problem saying that. I know because I know a lot of stuff, and there's some stuff I don't know, and some stuff I probably do need to. If you can show me where you got it from, I will read it. If you can show me where you got it from. Now, some people be sitting up there saying stuff with no backup, no sources or nothing, and be trying to argue the point that you're like, okay, here's mine, where's yours? Crickets.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately that's the problem most of the time. That's why I always say I'm your huckleberry. I'm your motherfucking huckleberry. Let's go.
Yeah. So
spin the pistols at dawn.
So some people honestly, when you and this is just my opinion, of course, but if you online and somebody like brings up something to your attention, it don't take nothing to say, okay, let me look into it. But if your pride is if you have so much pride or you just got to be right, I guess, I mean, bro, that's something that individual needs to take up with him and the man in the mirror.
I mean, me and Dr. Trey 81, we go back and forth on some stuff a lot of the time, right? And then sometimes he'll say, well, no, this happened because of this. And then I talk to this guy, and this is why. I say, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay, great. Well, I mean, and you're the LinkedIn king, so you don't at least troll this dude over and over again until he gave you the information, or you have whatever your other sources are. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to argue that. There's nothing for me to argue there.
But you have some people who argue that.
yeah. I don't get it. And then I guess the oddest thing to me is whenever I do something like that, anytime I get in a situation like that, I get at least 1 to 2 robot Twitter followers like within minutes, which is the oddest thing to me because I don't have any subs. I'm not that big of a channel. And my Twitter account technically is brand new. If you look at it, is 2017 or whatever, even though that's not my real Twitter account. It's just for this channel. Mm-hmm. But I mean, people know who the fuck I am. I know when they see this face with Shay, go figure. But Shay is because I'm looking at multiple screens here, and I don't want
to get blinded.
Yeah, and also there's light and all the other kind of stuff. It's pain in the ass. But you see this face, you know who I am. You know that I've been doing this, for I don't know. I started YouTube 2014 maybe at some point in time, I guess. I started with you and Jamie and Quan and back then or whatever, then built the channel and and did my thing, and it was just, and my channel is initially what YouTube is about, broadcast yourself. I don't give a fuck about $1. The only reason I even care about subs is because somebody would tell me, dude, I didn't even know you put up a video. That bothers me because now the whole reason that YouTube was created, that's being, I won't say, for lack of a better word, it's being circumcised instead of circumvented. So that bothers me. Other than that, I see zero financial gain out of this, to be honest with you. Whether I wanted to do something like that, I've thought about it once or twice, but it's not. I might as well invest in Bitcoin. That's probably more stable.
That's why I don't monetize, because to me, it's just I do it for fun.
Yeah,
I do it in my free time. I don't want it to be a job or anything like that. I just do it to have fun. Now, for some people, they may do this professionally. Hey, big up to you. But
this is what you do. I respect the hustle.
I respect it, but for me, it's just for fun. So I mean, I have a job. I'm good.
Yeah. So bottom line on that topic, it is what you expect. Nintendo never announces new shit. They're always working on new technology. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a new console. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a new accessory. They're just looking at different things to gauge how they're going to bring video games forward. And that's constantly what they're doing. They throw away ideas all the time. So you hear about this, whatever. I won't say don't get excited, but I would say, yeah, humble yourself and wait for an official reveal and go from there. Like right now, Nintendo is working on a new console. They do this every single time.
I mean, Sony is.
Exactly.
Microsoft is doing something. Everybody does it. That's how this works.
There was the HD Wii at some point back in 2009. They threw it away.
Yeah. Remember when they had the what was it, the disk drive for the 64?
Mm-hmm. Threw it away. Well, I mean, they tried to sell it in Japan, but
that didn't work.
That didn't work. So, you know, it's all about. I mean, they have so many ideas right now that there's probably so many. Unseen 64 would probably be drooling at the amount of information they could probably gather if they spoke enough Japanese and they were extremely polite in the right part of town in Japan. They would probably be drooling over the opportunities they could get. I don't know if you heard that ring or not, but maybe I have a visitor I need to shoot or something. But anyways, so but that's. Don't take these type of announcements or these little pages to be your saving grace, or oh my god, Nintendo's coming out with new hardware, or oh my god, Nintendo's making a handheld. Nah. Nintendo's making a handheld when they announce that motherfucker with a price and a date.
Yeah, I would caution people just to be. It's hard for me to put this in words, because there's really no reason to be all ecstatic about it or worried about this, because once again, every company does this. Every company in any tech field, in the tech industry, period, does this. When Intel drops a new processor, you best believe they're already doing R&D on the next one. So is AMD. So is when Radeon drops their new graphics card, you best believe they're already doing R&D on the next one. This is how this works.
Exactly.
Which is why you get iPhone 8 and iPhone 10, and they're still working on the next one.
I think Mike in the chat said he wanna hop in. God, this is gonna be a pain in the ass right now because I'm sending invites certain ways, and he doesn't have Twitter. So, and I don't have Google Plus up. I don't know, man.
Who, Micah? Double M?
Yeah.
You want me to see if I can do it?
Yeah, see if you can send them one, and we let them in and go from there. Because I'm kind of like we're nowhere prepared to do that right now. Not over Google Plus. Maybe Twitter or not. Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So once he comes on, we can move to the next topic, because I wanted multiple people to kind of indulge on that anyway, because I never got a chance to do it the last time. Well, I did, but whatever. Everybody knows I got a shitload of games I got to play.
Oh yeah, dude. I think everybody does, because my backlog has gotten lovely lately.
I'm bad right now. Like I haven't touched this PC in months now. I don't think I've played it since February, probably. So that's why I didn't know this update was on here. But
let's see. Well, what are you playing now then?
You know what I'm playing? Everybody follow me know what the fuck I was playing. What? I'm about to say, I'll put it this way. Mark Bryant know what the hell I was playing when I was on OJ podcast. Well, put it in the chat what I was playing, Mark Bryant. I guarantee you he know. He probably know where I was in the game and everything.
Cause I went and got that Super Darrow Deluxe. I've been playing that game. Is so crazy.
Are you playing Super Darrow?
Yeah, dude.
Michael just on me in the chat. Did you send him the invite?
Yeah, I sent him the invite.
Okay. Well, it's on Google Plus anyway. I'm sorry. He said I do have Twitter, and he put LOOL on there, so it looked like he said fool instead of Yep. And Mark Bryan is right. Goddamn. Am I that predictable? Nah, Xenoblade is my favorite RPG franchise. I think I could probably say that. I think I could say that. I was really close to saying it was Mass Effect. Then Mass Effect 3 happened. So, but I still like the combat in Mass Effect 3. I really did. It's just
I thought you were gonna say Andromeda happened, but okay.
Yeah, well, it was on its way down before Andromeda. Like, yeah. Andromeda was like, okay, nail meat coffin. But no, I would say between and personally, I'm still probably more of a fan of X. Go ahead and send your booze right now to all the people that don't like X for whatever reason.
Hell with the people that be hating. I love that game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Miss Red Fox asked, "Have I beaten it?" Yeah, of course. I might beat the fuck out of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Look at some of the places I am, and then look at my level, or look at I'm looking at like a high level boss, and I'm not even afraid type deal.
I got one more chapter to beat. I'm on chapter 10. I got to finish out, and then I'll be done. So
yeah, I'm just trying to get 100% on all the quests.
I can't get Cosmos, and some of my other people I want to get.
Yeah, Cosmos is my last one. I still got to get Cosmos.
Look, we need to have a discussion with freaking whatchamacallit, with Monolith Soft in this core problem they have in this game.
Well, just a rare blade system.
At no point in time should I ever go through 20 rare cores and get nobody but miscellaneous.
I think it only works. I think it only works if you do a lot of legendaries like that. I think the counter only works on legendaries. So if you have legendary cores, at some point it's like, okay, look, you don't wasted these legendary cores, motherfucker. We gotta give you one.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's ridiculous. I mean, one time I went through. I know, like I counted. I went through 20 rares and two commons before I got. Who did I get? Percival.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm like, what the? Who the hell is this?
And see, Percival was one of my first ones, and that wasn't even a rare blade. He came out of a common.
Because then, of course, I had to go look online. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just look online. Maybe it's something I'm not doing. I need to make, because like the whole praxis. To get practice, you had to do something special. So I'm like, maybe I gotta do something special to get Cosmos. Nope, Cosmos is random as hell because people saying I got it. That was the first one I got. Son of a.
Yeah, some people got Cosmos at first too, and like I just got who did I just get? I just got a Nika or Azama. I think it was.
I got Azama like 3 weeks ago.
Yes, so she was the last one that I got, and I literally had to break the system down to get it to work. So I had to I literally had to go in and figure out what element she was, delete all those lower graded elements out of my inventory, and then make sure I use the booster for only that element. So she's dark, so I had to use truth, I think it is dark and light. So I just kept doing legendary truths over and over again, and she eventually popped.
Because right now, that's what I'm trying to do to get Cosmos. I heard you have to use Justice. So I'm going through and getting rid of like all of the miscellaneous ones that I don't use. Because there's a couple of them I do use because I was using them at the first beginning of the game. So they are ridiculous and I don't want to get rid of them. But everybody else is dying.
You might have to do truth because Cosmos is light in this game.
Okay. Well, I got a lot of those too. So either way it goes.
Yeah. Like, so I think Cosmos is the second blade in the game that's light, because the other one is Mithra.
Yeah, I thought, okay, I gotta look because somebody online said they had to use, it was supposed to be Justice has to be high, but if Truth has to be high, then okay, because that would make sense.
Yeah, because that's the only other thing that's going to give you light, because it's shadow and light. So I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't have her, so I don't know.
I'm gonna try,
that's the last one I got to get.
I've been going through doing that because I got tired of once I figured that out, I'm like, I'm tired of these miscellaneouses. So let me get rid of a lot of these that got Justice on it and just get my Justice up to like 15 cores and just do all of them and see what happens.
Yeah. I'm about to say send the invite real quick.
Okay.
I guess, and then if not, then
long time.
Oh, long time, man, long time. So I mean, straight up, no chaser backlog.
Backlog.
Backlog. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Boy, I'm gonna be honest. I'll be honest. I've been off gaming for quite a while, to be honest. I've been mostly focusing on. I've mostly been focusing on my music ventures. Sound engineering's really somewhat taken over my life.
Okay, so that was you I saw on Twitter. Then yeah, you got the new album and stuff you're trying to come up with. Or I won't say trying to come up with that you have, but
well, I've got 6 of them. Well, 6 mixtapes.
Okay, yeah, that's good stuff. I'm as a former music guy myself. Well, me, Mr. T. So who else used to do that too? Somebody else used to do it. Was it Quan? I don't know. If Quan did music too, but no, Twilight.
Yeah, he still does music.
Yeah, Twilight still does music.
Yeah, he still does like live appearances, right?
Yep, because he's at I saw something went out on Twitter that he was at tonight. So
oh man, so Nintendo Examiner said Poppy can get a light cord. I looked into that. I was trying to look at the Poppy swap and try to see how I could change the cores. And all I saw was just the other 3 at the time. I didn't know if it was like a secret one hidden somewhere that I need to get. Oh, you said it's about as rare as Cosmos, yeah. So that's same difference.
Another thing,
cat out my yard.
Another thing with me as well is that like basically last year I went through like a lot of harsh life stuff, and then basically I've had to move out on my own now, and it's just you know when you move to a new place and you think, okay, within couple months time I'll have myself all sorted and settled and stuff like that. It takes a lot longer than that. Trying to keep up financially hasn't been the easiest. It's like when you actually have to rent, you have to work.
Yeah, that's gotta happen.
There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. So.
Even when you stop renting, it's gotta work too. Yeah. Ain't no joke. It's just not cheap at all. Goddamn mortgage, them motherfuckers.
Especially here in London as well.
Oh yeah. Y'all don't play over there.
London, this is one of the most expensive places in the world to buy a place.
Yeah, y'all don't play at all over there.
And even and rent as well is even worse. Like I was fortunate that 2 things I was fortunate about. One, I didn't need because of my studio. So I didn't want a big room anyway. I was more concerned about the shape of the room, making sure it was, standard 4 square walls and not no weird shapes and anything like that. Because and I need to make sure it wasn't too big because I didn't want to have to buy additional foam or have to buy a reflection filter. Because I know a reflection filter can cost a lot of money. And I was going to buy one at first, but then I realized when I done some further research, I realized that unless you have a really large space that is hard to isolate, a reflection filter serves really no purpose. In a small room that is well isolated, you really don't need one.
Okay. Man, I don't know. I can't even get into that. Like, it's taking me forever to respond to damn Mr. T's last damn rap video. So I can't even, by the time I get all situated, I can't even, if I decide to go to the studio and do anything, or if I did even record it here, I just don't have the time. I would like to get back to that.
No, the time is the biggest factor at the moment because, like I said, I have to work now. Like it wasn't when I was living at my mum's, because I work with an agency, so I can choose when I want to work. When I was living at my mum's, I still helped out with certain costs and things like that. But if there was a week where I decided, okay, I'm only going to do 20 hours this week and get some other stuff done, I kind of had the option. I don't really have that option now.
Yeah, and also the studio time thing is like you can't just pop in for an hour, work on something, and leave. Like it's usually it's mental gymnastics that you're doing the entire time, and you're waiting for a thought process to come to light, and then you don't leave the room until it's complete. So it may be 18 hours. You never know how long the session will end up being.
And that's another thing I don't even like. One of the things I like is when I have really early shifts that don't finish too late. But because ideally what I want is a whole day to myself, which is what I'll tend to bang out long hours and do less days so that I can have more days to myself. Because I don't mind doing like 10 to 15 hours in a day if it means that I clear out a full week's worth of work in a few days. So I usually try and see if I can get a full week's worth of work knocked out in 3 to 4 days. But on top of where was I going now?
The backlog. That's why you didn't have a backlog. Yours is probably worse than mine.
Yeah, but I did. But when I have like a shift in the evening, or if I ever have to do like a shift in the evening and stuff, I just don't. Or if I finish work after a certain time, I just don't even feel to be bothered to record, because I just think to myself, because for me it's not just recording, it's engineering as well. And to record, I like to be able to record my tracks and then engineer and have the time to still mix them. And the mixing is what can take a long time depending on the track. So, it's always one of those things where I typically need a whole day to do it. And not only that, the engineering part is mentally taxing as well. So, doing too much of that, and then trying to go to work the next day, my brain is fried.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Been there, done that. That's no fun whatsoever. What was the last game that you played before you started going through this process?
I still play games every now and then. The last game I probably was heavily into would have probably been either Splatoon or Pokken Tournament.
Oh, okay. So you playing online even? Okay.
Yeah. And I even Smash Brothers a few times. Smash Brothers once in a while I've jumped online with it. Sometimes I've been playing a few mobile games that I think have been really good. One of them is Skyforce Reloaded.
Okay.
And Fastlane Road to Revenge. Those like Fastlane Road to Revenge I've been stupidly addicted to. And for some reason, just because I like the fun of it, I decided to go through Saints Row 3 all over again as well.
Ooh, man. What a bizarre game that ended up being.
I know, that's why I love it.
Oh my God, that game is so bananas.
That's what I love about it. It doesn't take itself seriously.
So I think the funniest thing for people to do is to get somebody that has played Grand Theft Auto, has never played the Saints Row franchise, to play 1 and 2 and then play 3.
Yeah, because I've never played 1 and 2, but I heard 1 and 2 was like super serious.
Yeah, 1 is super serious, and then towards the end of 2 it started getting kind of done, and then 3 is just like, okay, fuck it. Man, I like the first Saints Row. 2 was just kind of, I don't know. I felt that they were trying too hard, kind of, and then towards the end it started getting kind of silly. But 3 is just all kind. I wanted to say 3 was literally trying to be Crackdown, and so in some cases, like it was just like, fuck the laws of physics. We don't care. We just don't care at all. So yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, Saints Row 3 just gives me so much laughs. I mean,
if nobody in this chat has tried it, they should try Saints Row 3. If you haven't, just watch videos of that game. Just watch videos.
I mean, I think what's one of the funniest things? One of the funniest weapons I liked. Oh yeah, the I can't remember what it's called. It was that Genki bazooka. The one where it shoots the squids at people, it controls them, and then when you decide, you can just blow them up.
Like your own version of the cerebral bore, basically. But this, man, that's kind of what I want developers to get back to. I don't want to change the topic again. I think they need to get back to making the game fun. It doesn't have to make sense to be fun. Like Sunset Overdrive is completely dumb, but it's fun. I don't understand why people have to be super serious and not to get on the God of War chant, but it's just we'll talk about that later. But it's just why do you have to talk to me about this game like it's winning Academy Awards and that means I want to buy it? It's a fucking video game. I want to know if it's fun.
Exactly.
You know,
but you know what? One thing I've realized going into music is that it's not just video games. I mean, this is how people look at life. You know, everything has to have some kind of image to it. Like, you know, if you don't have some, like, as far as people are concerned, if you don't have some kind of image to your name, what if it's a product or a person or whatever, you know, as far as they're concerned, it don't exist. And that is what you can call some real sincere ignorance.
That is what we call, ladies and gentlemen, an infernal thought process. And it extends well beyond gaming, unfortunately, because that type of, and I won't call it childish behavior because there's so many adults that do it. It's just the craziest thing. Like, people buy certain cars because they want to look a certain way. It's not that they have fun driving that car or they like the experience of that car. That car might be a pain in the ass, costs a lot of money to maintain, but they got to be with the Joneses. So I'm going to spend all this money on this expensive ass BMW that I got to import all the parts on. You know, it's just one of those things.
And then with the advent of social media, it's just amplified times 1,000. Like,
it's just absolute. How do you let somebody tell you what you want?
Exactly.
I've never understood that either. I don't like my oldest son. I don't know if he plays games with their fun anymore. I think he plays games because they're fun with his friends. And I think, I really think if I took all the games that he has and told him he could play them, but there's no internet in his room, he wouldn't play them. I really think that's the case now. The games have gotten so social now. They're not even, there's no fact about the game to have any type of gameplay loop that's fun on its own. It's more about what kind of stupid scenario can I talk about with my friends in this game. And while that's great, what happens if you have a snowstorm? What happens if you live in mid-Kansas somewhere and they haven't gotten there? I know Google Fiber is supposed to be supporting the majority of one of those big cities there, but there's a lot of rural territory out there. What if, you know, you're in that area or whatever, and you hear about this game online and everything, and then you get it, but you don't have any internet, and the base game that you have is absolutely lackluster. Like, what do you get what I'm saying? Now you're hearing all these people having all this fun, and you're not even able to play. Like, you're not even able to have the fun that you see because what's advertised is a function of the game that require. What if you don't have friends online that like to play that game? Even if you have the best internet in the world now.
I think one of the things that help to perpetuate that behavior as well is that we live in a world that is so afraid of everything. It's like, you know, for your children to even go to your friend's house who may live across the road, that's like a danger. So, you know, a lot of kids who are playing games now, a lot of them are geared to stay indoors. You know, and it's so easy to just hop on a video game, see your brethren online, you know, connect up, jump on a headset, speak to them, you know, and, you know, you kind of you forget what it's like to actually be in a room with all your friends, having all that energy and madness going about and stuff. It's a whole different vibration. You're not going to get that speaking into a headset with someone. But again, this world has become so fearful that, you know, for your child to go across the road to their friend's house and whatever, it's just, you know, and I get it because there's a lot of crazy shit happening in the world today. But it's just like, I kind of look at it like the analogy of the bird at the end of the day. At the end of the day, when those birds get to a certain age, they got to eventually attempt to fly. And the reality of it is, it's either you fly or you die.
Yeah.
You know, there is no
natural selection.
Exactly. You either fly or you die. There is no, what's it called? There is no safety net, you know? So I'm not saying that we should live like a bird and, you know, just let our children go off into the world without no kind of like protection or understanding of the world around them and stuff like that. But, you know, you can't indoctrinate them with fear, because when they get older, that's all they'll ever live by.
Yeah, no, I'm not really, this isn't necessarily a politics channel, but I definitely agree with that that one teacher she made a complaint about parents were calling their children too much. And then they come up there and argue the teacher down, even though their kid bad as hell at school. Mm-hmm. Like I don't get it, man. Like when I grew up, and you're talking about the dirty South here, growing up in the, you know, 80s and 90s or whatnot. Yeah, I'm telling my age here, but if I got in trouble in, say, the 3rd grade or whatever, my teacher would beat my ass in the classroom. She'd tear my knuckles up with a ruler, have me sit in a corner in some kind of weird position in between pleasure and pain, and I had to stay there. Then she would call my parents. My dad would come to the school. He would beat my ass there. Then I would have to go home, and I had a lady that watched me before I went home. She hear about it. She made me go pick out a switch in the backyard. For those in the North that don't know what a switch is,
I know what a switch is.
Yeah, it's
explain, because some people don't know.
It is a light branch, a twig, if you will, of a bush that it has a whipping nature. So you go pick out the best one that you can. The dreaded part of this is you're picking out what's going to give you pain. So and if you go pick out one that's not going to give you pain, they make you go right back out there and go get another one.
Yeah.
So,
or they'll go out there themselves. Or they'll go out there themselves and get the biggest one they can find.
Mr. Ref, I said, hell with those switches. Yeah, that's life.
And then if your parents really wanted to be savage, the switch wasn't even a branch. The switch was whatever cable they could find in the house.
Oh yeah, essential cords too.
And that was worse. Them wires.
Oh, the worst. So I got that from the lady that watched me. Then I went home, and then my mom would beat me then too. And then my dad would finish up when he got home. So it's just one of those things. Like, so you made me come to your school. Okay, that won't happen again, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, just those type of things don't happen anymore because the parents don't have a faith in the educational system. I'm not saying that I do, but I will say this: I'm going to give all the trust I can to my child, but while I'm doing that, I'm saying you better not be fucking up, because if she tells me something different than what you've been telling me, woe be unto you. That's kind of my situation. So I'm gonna go in like I have your back. Don't let me hear nothing wrong. So I need to hear it now before I go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the situation. That's what I try to do.
It doesn't help nowadays that teachers have become so drone-ish. They're almost, they treat their jobs like they are actually. I mean, I know
like they don't want to be there. Yeah.
Well, no, I know schools. I know all things like schools and stuff like that. They're under some sort of corporate ownership, but these teachers are actually treating these jobs like they are corporate jobs.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they're doing. Hilarious. And somebody said flip flops and fly swaps. Whatever they could find, man. I tell you, yeah, you had some discipline on your hands then. But yeah, it's just weird how gaming mentality, like a lot of those infernal thought processes, coin yet again. I probably should copyright that at some point. But they but you notice that they exist outside of gaming. So you see all those kind of, I won't say psychosis, but you see all those type of logical failures happen both in and out of the circle. And usually it's because it already existed anyway. It's just that, okay, now I'm gonna apply it to gaming and be really retarded. Mm-hmm. So go figure with that. So, but yeah, so that was supposed to be a story about your backlog, but it's a ShadowCast bucket. Whatever. So,
well, I always see knowledge. I always see intelligence as a tree. Like, it's never gonna branch off in one direction. This is why intelligent people always go off in tangents when they converse.
Yeah. Just experiences more than anything else. I definitely won't consider that knowledge. Me getting my ass beat. That was just me. Okay, I'm gonna try the system, and now I have learned from that experience. I've learned and never let that have that experience again. So, God rest his soul. My dad let me know right then and there. No, that's not happening again. So I will say that I have had some positive experiences coming from a situation where me and another person completely didn't agree, and then we still found common ground once the infernal thought process was identified. Once I say, look, dude, you're trying to argue with me because your opinion about this video game is this, and my opinion about this video game is this. You haven't even played this game. I've played this game and the games you like. Could you at least acknowledge that I might have a little bit of credibility to what I'm saying? Not saying you don't, because your opinion is your opinion. If you don't want to play it, I'm not going to make you spend money in your wallet, for something that you don't even want to try because you like what you like, right? But if I say that I've tried all of this stuff and I won't say I'm a more rounded person, but I've had all of these experiences and here's why I like it. You can't sit there and shit on the reasons why I like it. Like that doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, just like I can't shit on the reasons that you don't like it unless it flies in the face of logic. Like you can't say I don't like Tetris because it has blocks in it. And then you get what I'm saying? But you love Minecraft. Like what the fuck? But that kind of stuff happens. It happens on the internet all the time, but it's just that's not that likely to happen, and I'm not going to reach that far if you get what I mean. So, but I've had some positive experiences coming from that. Very, very few, but I've had some. And then you learn certain things. Like typically, I was done with Call of Duty games, but Infinite Warfare is probably my favorite game in the series, and just the single player. I think I played the multiplayer once. The single player was probably the best. I think that's the best Call of Duty game I've played. Personally, my favorite military game is going to be Allied Assault. Medal of Honor Allied Assault was probably the best one that I've played. Like for its time to today, is probably the best experience I've had from beginning to end, from landing on Normandy all the way into the end. I've never had an experience that gripping. Like it just dropped you right into the shit and say, let's go. Here's your missions. If you don't get these missions, you get shot to shit. And then you get a quote from somebody famous that won a war.
You know what game I actually really miss? And it might be a shock to say this, but one game I actually really missed that I really, really enjoyed, and I never actually completed it, was Zombie U.
Oh, Zombie U, because it's scary as fuck. Like
it is actually intense.
And so it's not the fact that, oh my God, the zombies are scary. It's like I'm in a scenario.
It's the scenario that you're
5 bullets. I'm going to die if I engage here, and then I lose all of my shit.
And it makes you think, because it actually, like, whereas before, like, say I'm playing a game where I've got like a clip loaded with tons of bullets and stuff like that, if there's a gas tank, I'm not care to look around for a gas tank that I can shoot that can save me time and stuff like that. I'm just thinking pop bullets. But in a game like Zombie U, I'm actually checking my surroundings to see what can I actually use to my advantage here.
Yeah, and that's you gotta think on your feet,
and you gotta think on your feet, and you gotta get very good at headshots.
Yes, definitely the headshot situation. Oh my God,
because they will save you bullets and save your life.
Yeah, somebody said they died at the end trying to get to the helicopter. It's one of those things, and there was a certain situation in there where you had to move some equipment that was in the way and move it out of the way. And then as soon as you moved it out of the way, it fell all the way down. And then a shitload of, oh my God. I forget whether, I think it was in the tunnel before you come out on top in London. I forget where that was in the game, but you're moving something and then the shit fell. And then after it fell, like the zombies are, oh God. And you're like completely caught off guard because you're used to being in a scenario where, maybe one or two at a time and you can kind of gauge where your bullets were and stuff like that. But
And people didn't realize that game was actually online.
Yes.
Because you could, like, do you know how many times I bumped into people's characters who had became zombies?
Yep.
Like, if
and
you was online,
leave each other
you
messages. You can leave each other messages and stuff too. That was the point of the whole We Connect 24 thing situation with it. And they were supposed to update that game. They never did. Go figure.
But that game, well, I know they had one broken patch in the game where with the nursery, which they updated because you couldn't get past that point.
Yeah, but after that, they didn't. They didn't have the other patch.
But it was
like they promised one.
To me, obviously, let's see. That's the thing with a lot of people. That's the thing, the mentality of a lot of people nowadays. And again, it's something I've noticed more even doing music. Everyone expects everything to be great out of the gate. Like no one expects there to be some kind of, like, it's like, take music for example. When you listen to music back in the days, you saw all the clips and all the videos of when they were in the studio, when they were messing about, freestyling on the street, having a session where they've got all the, you saw the artist develop. Nowadays, for someone to see an artist developing, people look at it as just like, is this what you're putting out? Come on, man. So and so's putting out blah blah blah, this, that, and everything. And this is what you're putting out. Not they want okay. This is exactly. They want to see. People don't forget that things take work. They take time. They take a process. Why? Who was really expecting Zombie U to be the ultimate blockbuster right out the gate? Because I wasn't.
I just wanted a fun game to play, and that game scared the shit out of me. And then so people were like,
played it with headphones and the lights off.
People were like, "Oh my god, I got to sit here and I have to do inventory management on this screen, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, it's better than hitting the start button over and over again, like you had to do in fucking The Last of Us.
And the thing I loved about it with Zombie U is that they made it live while you're all in real time. So
exactly,
you can't just stop and change up your inventory. You had to make sure you were safe and secure enough to do so. And if you were going to fight some zombies, you better have everything out that you need and prepared at the touch of a button. To fight with.
They take it back to like Resident Evil 1 days, and that's why a lot of people didn't like, because they're used to fun and gunning it, not used to actually having to think through. You used to getting whatever souped up OP gun you got, mowing them down, and you couldn't do that in there. Like Resident Evil 1 and 2, you wasn't mowing down Jack.
Nope.
Or you would run out of bullets and you would die. So
exactly. While you on that, what's your backlog looking like?
My backlog?
Man,
you know good and well not to ask me that, man. You know good and well, my backlog is ridiculous. You know that.
Pick one platform. Pick one platform that's not that bad.
Okay, my Xbox ain't that bad.
Okay.
My Xbox ain't that bad.
My Xbox is kind of bad.
My Xbox backlog ain't that bad. Although with them saying that I can get Jade Empire now and Knights of the Old Republic, the first one, I'm getting those
over again.
I'm getting those two next week.
All over again. Jesus, man.
I never understood why BioWare never made a sequel to Jade Empire. I never understood it.
I think maybe that was part of the deal with Microsoft, that they had to make 3 games, and maybe they didn't have the Star Wars license at the end of that deal.
Oh,
maybe that. I'm guessing. This is just me. Just thinking what some of the obvious situations could have been, where like, look, we're contracted to do 3 games no matter what, or over this amount of time, and that time went over the time that they were doing stuff for the Star Wars license. So that's the only thing I can think of, maybe. But Jade Empire 2 would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
somebody mentioned something about Guacamelee too. But
that was like my favorite game on the OG Xbox was Jade Empire.
Yeah.
Have you got the Xbox One X, Shadow Fox?
No, because the Xbox One X is not a real console. I won't say not a real console. Let me stop that.
And every Xbox fanboy is now.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to trigger anybody, but let's just say this: the Xbox One X did not start the 9th generation. The Nintendo Switch did. The PlayStation 4 Pro did not start the 9th generation. The Nintendo Switch did. The PlayStation 5 will be part of the 9th generation. the Xbox 4 Pi, whatever the fuck is going to be, Xbox 5, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that would end up being a 9th generation product. These two clearly are trying to be, so people want to say mid-step when they talk about Nintendo. This is clearly a mid-step. Like, they're playing the same games and shit. Like, there isn't a hard stop that says, okay, look, we might be backwards compatible, but you're not playing this game on older hardware. It's not happening. The newer hardware might be able to play, some of the older games, but nah.
But they didn't. When they first announced it, I thought they hyped it up like it was going to be this whole new system that they were bringing out and working on and stuff. And then when they showed what it was, and I said to myself, this is just PS4 Pro. This is just PS4 Pro with a few more steroids.
I think Microsoft thought that they were going to coax Sony into going along with them.
I swear the processor in both these consoles are still pretty much the same.
Microsoft wants to end generations. They don't want to do this shit anymore. They just want to constantly update. They want to call it the Xbox and update it like you update phones.
Yeah, I think
to the point where they even want to subsidize them if they can. That's what Microsoft wants to do. I don't think Sony's playing ball with that. They're like, no, fuck it, PlayStation 5. Like, we made a commercial, dude. We're gonna go all the way to PlayStation 9. We're not fucking around. It's happening. So, everybody remembers the PlayStation 9 commercial. Everybody, you remember that?
I remember that. That was hilarious.
Okay. Yeah, they're gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
I know 21 Jump Street kind of co-opted it when they did their little that second movie. But yeah, I remember that. I remember that PlayStation 9 commercial.
Yep. He said somebody said you got to refer to the first console as OG Xbox. Yeah, that's what I used to call it, the old school Xbox.
I was gonna
because you can't really call it the Xbox because
you can't Xbox One.
You can't if you really want to be extra, just call it a Pentium PC.
Yes,
because that's what it actually is.
Pentium, half Celeron registers. I don't know, 32-bit. Who gives a shit? Like it runs Windows. Runs wins. It runs.
But what was I going to say?
Other shit.
I swear the Xbox One. I think because when I saw the actual specs of it, to me, all I really saw was an upgraded GPU, which made a bit. With an upgraded GPU and a bit more memory that was faster. Yep. The processor. I swear the processor is more or less the same as it was before.
Yeah, the only good thing about the Xbox was the one thing that was customized, and that was the GPU, and that's it. Everything else was literally off the shelf, literally. I could take the RAM, out of it and stick it in an older PC. Like it was.
I was having this argument with my friend the other day. He was just saying because the Xbox One X is so thingy. Because we were talking about PC, he was talking about PCs and stuff like that, and it's just like, he was saying about how much more powerful now the Xbox One X is. I was just like, why build a PC where you can get an Xbox One X for £500? I'm like, mate, why build when you can get an Xbox One X for cheaper? It's just like, mate, the Xbox One X isn't even competing with a mid-range PC.
Yeah. No, you can run 4K games for pretty decent price these days. Your problem is going to be, unfortunately, the problem is fighting Windows and CPU bound applications. So that means you're going to spend money on a CPU and RAM. So it's the GPU itself is going to be cheaper than it would be than it would be in a console. So it's just the problem that you have to buy the rest of the computer, and these games, since a PC isn't a console, you don't have the advantage of saying, hey, we're gonna have the best performance.
Yeah.
Any type of even if an older CPU is technically more powerful than what's in any of the consoles today, your performance is going to be horrible in comparison because you're running an entire OS on top of it.
Yeah, it's not exactly a resource. It's not exactly a light resource OS. It's very resource heavy.
Exactly. So just one of those things where you got to spend a lot of money ahead of time on top of to do whatever. I get by with my system right now. The CPU is currently Sandy Bridge, but it's getting really close.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to.
Mine is still Phenom 2, and it's still going very well.
Wow. Yeah, you Phenom. You're getting pretty close. You're gonna have to.
Yeah. I know. I'm planning on getting a Ryzen at some point. It's just when I get the money.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, this Phenom it's the Phenom 2 960T, and I'm not gonna lie that this process has pulled its weight over the past 6 years, considering how old it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's showing its age, because when I'm doing my music stuff, because I know when it comes to like multitasking software like digital audio workstation, that's where it starts to get really processor and core heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when I'm getting down to the final, when I'm getting down to like the post-process, some of the final post-processing aspects of the mix and things like that, that's when the processor really starts to take a hit.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make this call. So we already talked about PlayStation 5, but I skipped over a topic, and I kind of want to. I think it's kind of an interesting topic. The way things are right now, I mentioned Nintendo Switch's 9th generation. The way things are going now, by the time the PlayStation 5 is announced and is actually available, Nintendo typically does their 4 to 5 year cycle. We may be in a point where Nintendo on paper is a full generation ahead by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
How does everybody feel about that? It's kind of odd where we would have a supplemental computing device or Switch 2.0 or whatever you want to call it that would be, it either would be backwards compatible but not forward compatible. With whatever the Switch is, like going forward, it won't be able to work with that stuff. And it'll be a 10th generation product, and the PlayStation 5 has only been on the market a year. Like, how do you, like, that's a complete generational leap in between companies, but I mean, it could also be a generational leap in tech too, depending on what Nintendo's trying to do. So if they decide to make it a home console, they could easily overstep. If you get what I mean. Nintendo doesn't really play that game, but they could. And I think Sony and Microsoft know they could. So that just creates a real interesting picture. I just don't. Who would have thought? Nintendo would be a generation ahead of a product that either isn't even out yet or has only been out for a year. Who would have ever said that? The Xbox, that's like saying the Xbox One comes out and now there's a PlayStation 5. Like, what? That's not even a conversation to have. Like,
my thing is, this is just a crazy theory. I doubt it's going to be the truth, whatever. But I don't know. I kind of, my theory is that I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch is just part one of something bigger, because I'm looking at the patterns of how the time they've released. I've looked at past patterns. I looked at the time. I had this discussion with Liger some time ago. I looked at the time that they've released it, thinking how they've advertised it, and all those how they've advertised it and how they pushed it and stuff like that. And it's been a lot more similar to their handheld launches than their console launches. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's playing a big game here themselves in making you think that this is the new home system when really it's not. This is just part one.
That would be crazy. That would
because one of the things I wanted to find out so much about the docking station was, does it add any additional performance to the actual does it add any additional performance to the actual Switch? And it does actually add a small boost to, I can't remember if it was the GPU or the CPU. But I know it adds
the CPU.
Yeah, it adds a small boost to one of them. So I just thought to myself, well,
I think it's a GPU too. I think that.
Oh yeah, because it's all one integrated thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it technically is, but the CPU switches from using the A53 to the A57 cores, which inherently are faster and have more registers and whatnot. And then the GPU clock speed, I believe, goes up one third. but the RAM clock speed stays the same in both instances.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's kind of where we're at on that.
So, because then that would prove to me, because then I knew that would prove to me that clearly the switch has the potential, if linked to the right hardware, to do more. I knew that docking station wasn't just merely a docking station, even if it's only a small aspect of it that adds more to the switch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that definitely could be the case, where instead of it just being dock mode, being, you know, turning on this version of the CPU and bringing it up 1/3, it could literally be, okay, completely ignore the CPU that's on the switch and use this other CPU that's in this brick. That could definitely happen.
Or it could even link them, in some form of parallel processing.
Yes. We're in that Nintendo has done that before inside of consoles. So where before there was even a such thing as, you know, heterogeneous computing or GPU, they were still doing it, you know, with Wii and GameCube. In certain cases, they had certain memory pools that were shared, and there were tasks that the GPU would send to the CPU and the CPU would send back. So it's just one of those things where you're like, you know, you sit there, you look and you're like, yeah, man, this graphics look pretty good. This GPU is doing pretty well. And then you see a developer testimony where it said, "Oh, yeah, that was all rendered by the CPU," and you're like, "What?" Just some of those things where Nintendo's been doing it for a while.
That CPU in the GameCube was definitely well ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that had to been a testament to, I would say, probably the memory system more than anything else. But that's like, you could completely bypass the main memory and send requests directly to the GPU. That's fucking badass.
And I think what helps Nintendo as well is the fact that for a lot of their coding, they use their own variables. Because one thing, because I did a bit of programming in college, and one thing I realized is that when you use your own variables, when you create your own variables, then you can actually make your code you can potentially make your code a lot shorter. Yeah, because what would potentially take maybe 4 lines of code to do, when you create your own variables, you can more or less do it in one.
Pretty much.
So, and I think that's where I think that's where the issue is with the mentality and like third party when it comes to Nintendo or a lot of other developers, is that, you know, these are people with a more Western mentality. They used to being fed a massive budget, a massive capital budget. And then it's just like, with that capital budget, we can just buy the best of the best and it should all fix itself, you know, rather than saying that, okay, we actually need people who know how to utilize this stuff and make the best out of it. Whereas Nintendo is more, you know, Nintendo is kind of more, I like where you're going with that RAM, fam.
oh yeah, most definitely. Bacardi break once again. There we go, with the jingle and everything going. So what do you think about Sprite Remix? Put it in the comments. He said how much more RAM and GPU and RAM? I mean, how much CPU, GPU, and RAM can Microsoft and Sony attempt to cram into hardware? Like at some point, it's gonna.
They can't really cram much CPU power, as you can clearly see. RAM, well, they can cram as much RAM as they want. It's only going to mean so much in relation to the rest of the hardware.
At some point, you got to write it back.
And in terms of GPU, well, the fortunate thing about these consoles is this that nobody looks into, because everyone wants to say how powerful they are. But the fortunate thing about these consoles is that because their GPUs can be focused solely on gaming and not have to worry about trying to do other tasks, and because these GPUs are fixed in these systems, so any developer developing for these GPUs only has to develop for these GPUs, you know, it means that they don't have to put high-powered GPUs in these systems to get good results, especially in this day and age where even a low-powered GPU can perform decent results, even in a PC. Technology has been in consoles' favor in the sense that even the mid-range and low-end technology is so much better than it was, say, 5 to 10 years ago.
So I'm wondering,
if this is because of high CPU, that's why I'm Shadowbot Infinite. Middlebot said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on. Let's see what I can get, but.
Am I still robotic now?
Nope.
You
lost the auto tune, T-Pain.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm glad you stopped being Unicron before Optimus showed up.
Look. Love that Unicron. You got to do it. But it's obviously whenever I'm going high CPU here, and I'm looking right now, and I'm looking at my in my performance monitor here, and that's literally what it is. Like Hangouts went high CPU, and it just fucking ticked it off. Like Google's got to address that shit.
You know what I realized? Google is actually very fucking resource heavy.
Yes.
When like keep your Google Chrome on for a long time with a load of tabs open, and then check your CPU performance, you'll see that it's shooting through the roof.
Exactly. Well, since we what do you think about the 10th gen thing, Jay? What do you think about that? Do you think it's going to be a scenario? Do you think it's going to get that far to where the successor to the Nintendo Switch is out at the same time, or in the worst case scenario, actually before the PlayStation 5 launches?
At this point, just going off like what each of the companies do, yeah, because like we said before, Nintendo does 5 years. That's what they do. I mean, a lot of people were trying to rush the Wii U, but like they went 5 years.
Yeah,
2017. I mean, the longest one they had was
it Wii or was it NES?
I want to say it was Wii, because the NES was 85 to 90.
Yeah, I think the NES is fact. I think the fact with the NES was it was supported so goddamn long.
Yeah,
like it had games all the way up until the end of the Super Nintendo's life.
Yeah, it did. But I think it will be. But I think because like PlayStation has always said that they're on a 10-year cycle. Nintendo's is 5. So the way this is set up, yeah, it's probably going to happen. But it just depends on what each of them decide they want to do. Because I have no idea what the PS5 is supposed to be. I know Sony is worried about the Switch because it's beating them in Japan.
Yeah.
So I know they've looked into that, and because people do want to take. They don't want to be tethered to the house. The Switch has made it where like people do not want to be tethered to their home. They don't want to have to be. They want to be able to take their Destiny or their Horizon and play it when they're at lunch.
And they thought, and there's been rumors of the NGP2 or the Vita 2 or whatever. Yeah. There's been rumors about that around development circles for the past 2 years now, I guess. And I guess it's not coming.
If Sony low key scrapped it, quote unquote, and then gonna release it with their 5, I wouldn't be surprised about that because, like I said, like what Nintendo went and did was basically say, okay, you know how you want to play Splatoon, you can do that on the go if you want to. You like ARMS, you can do that on the go if you want to, and can be online.
Yeah,
you don't have to be. You don't have to be single player. You can be online. So them doing that pretty much, I think the rest of the gaming industry had to perk their ears up. So yeah, okay. You can only go so far with the whole 4K, and because let's be honest, the gaming industry just got 1080 to be stable.
No, they haven't.
In some games,
they really have not.
Some games. Some. I'm not saying all. Some.
Yeah, there's a couple of Nintendo published games that work just fine in 1080.
Yeah, they work just fine. That's what I'm saying. There's some games they have 1080. I ain't say 60. 60 frames. I said 1080. So if the whole 4K thing to me is irrelevant, honestly, because of the simple fact that one, I was just playing around with the 4K thing on my phone, and I'm like, I was seeing how big the file was just for like 10 minutes of video footage. That's ridiculous. People complain about the 1080 file sizes for these games. I'm like, you really want a 4K game?
So what's your storage going to be?
Yeah, you really want a 4K game? I don't think you want that.
I'm just thinking now that the next version of what's the name of that game that I like? Infamous. Like, hey, Infamous 3 is finally out, right? And then I go and I look on the PlayStation Store, and they're like 140 gigs day one plus updates. Yes. Like, Jesus. So it's gonna be 200 gigs for this one game.
It's gonna get to a point where people are gonna have to get like a 4 terabyte external hard drive just to play games with.
That's not fun.
I don't even think that's gonna be enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the 4K thing, while it's nice, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit up and hate and be like, oh man, it's stupid. Nah, it's a nice idea in theory, but we ain't there yet.
Here's the problem. The problem with it is that like we're talking about 4K, and we can't even get past 1080p for 1080p, fam. I mean, like, there's still a lot of shit in 720p, fam.
Yeah.
Yes. And they claim to be 1080p.
And you know what? Is about 720p? 720p is the fucking sweet spot, fam. It's the sweet spot. It is one of the easiest ways to get a good quality picture, to get a good quality resolution, because while it gives you a good quality image, it's nowhere near as resource heavy as 1080p.
Remember when the PlayStation 3 promised 2 dual 1080p displays in 16 by 10 format?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that definitely didn't happen.
But boy, all I'm saying, I just found it funny when Microsoft said, "Oh, the Xbox One X." I knew it wasn't going to happen anyway, and then when I saw the specs, I laughed even more. But when they said, "Oh, the Xbox One X is going to be able to do uncompressed 4K gaming," I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah,
fam, you can't even do uncompressed 1080p, fam.
Yeah, you gotta understand that's just Jesus, man. Like, why does it take the game so long to install if there's no compression? That's the other thing too. It's what I guess was the best way to say.
Well, to be fair, like not even a PC is capable. Not even a PC in this day and age is fully capable of doing raw uncompressed 1080p.
Now there's a lot of GPUs out there that can run 4K pretty well. The issue is how well it's going to work in the rest of your system. So you literally have to have an investment as far as fast memory and a decent CPU before you can even get to any of that. And that's not necessarily the fault of the GPU or the computer itself. It's more the programming of the game engine. Like, if it's CPU heavy, what else are you going to do? You got to program a CPU at it.
It's not even just that. People got to understand. Even all information goes through your CPU regardless. Yep. You know, all information is going to go through your CPU regardless, and all information is going to go to memory. Like, that's essentially the basics of a computer. It's processing information and sending it to it's fetching information from memory, processing it, and then sending it back out to memory. That is essentially, based on the von Neumann theory, that is essentially what a computer is. So, you know, even if you have a great GPU or whatever and stuff like that, your CPU and RAM still needs to be on point, because put it like this. Put it like this. Thing. The first thing your computers, the first thing, besides your monitor picking up a video signal from the GPU, the first thing your computer is ever going to detect when it starts up is processor and memory. And if those things aren't functioning, your computer ain't going nowhere.
That's true. So, to all the people that are completely misrepresenting the argument that's being stated at hand right now, like, shout out to my trolls in the chat. Y'all are off the chain over there. Like, I'm just looking at one of the comments there. Like, you completely confused what was being said here. Like, nobody was saying anything about what the PC can or can't do. The problem is that even though games are being designed to do that, they're having issues. They're not running flawless. They're not running as stable as they should be if you look at the numbers.
And then furthermore, on top of that, is storage space as well.
Yes, that's definitely not anything.
I think storage space is the big problem, because they don't want to give you they don't even want to give you a terabyte.
Nope.
Hard drive.
And not only that, even on to be fair, to even have games that big, Like I remember before, you can have a 250 gigabyte hard drive and you could store a good amount of your games on that. Like now it's like a 250 gig hard drive. You'd be lucky if you get 5 games on that now. The biggest problem,
and we're not adding in DLC.
Exactly. And the big issue with that is that, especially because we're in an era of, especially because at the end of the day, unless you've got money to fork out for a terabyte solid state or whatever, which, you know, you're going to be spending like $1,000 or more. You know, the fact of the matter is a disk-based hard drive running anywhere above 750 gigabytes is going to take a performance dip.
Yeah, that's just IOPS.
It's just the nature of the.
It's
just the nature of the disk-based drive. There's only so much storage space you can put on it and have it run at a consistent speed.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned something about the other issue with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is that you have to deal with those absolutely enormous installation sizes, even if you have the damn discs. Because that's probably the worst problem. Like NBA 2K15 was absolutely atrocious. That made no fucking sense whatsoever. So you get a 50 gig disc and you have to download 90 gig. That makes no goddamn sense. You install the 50 gigs and then you got to download. That's just retarded. There's no reason for you have to do that.
I will say this though, like Sony and Microsoft, they need to figure out like whatever they do next, they need to get rid of that whole install, and they need to get rid of that.
Do you think they go cartridges? Do you think they do that?
Well, cartridges. The thing about cartridges is now cartridges you can put more space on a cartridge now, on a small cartridge now. I mean, anybody that has a camera can tell you that. Maybe I don't know, but I know that whole installing on disc instead of just playing it straight off the disc, they got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Or even if you're gonna, or even if you, I mean, I think in general, when it comes to like gaming, storage, and all of those kind of things, I think in general, what needs to be done is that, you know, people need to just start compressing these games, because it's not healthy for your computer to have hard drives that big.
But you know what it is though? It's the third party games that are the issue. Usually the exclusive games, with the exception of some Sony ones, they don't really have that big of a deal. Like Nintendo stuff, their biggest in-house game was Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that was what, 13 gigs?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's their biggest game.
There are PC games from the 7th generation that are bigger than that.
Yeah. It just makes no sense.
17 gigs. We don't even want to talk about what size what was it Splatoon 2 is. I think 2 gigs even.
I remember when the PS4 came out, the first time I saw the size of Killzone Shadow 4.
Visitor. Hello, Mason. You're on TV. Oh god.
Yeah, I remember that the Killzone Shadowfall game file size when the PS4 first came out. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
See, and this is my life, ladies and gentlemen. I can't even play my own console. I have to turn it on. Let me turn it on and I'll get back to you.
Yes, sir.
Let me finish this and I'll let you know when you can play it.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to continue to play my Wii U also as well.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. You know, when it comes to the Switch, one of the things that disheartens me about the Switch is that it feels more like it was strictly a business move, more so than an innovative one. I mean, there is levels of innovation there with obviously the Joy-Cons and stuff like that. But in terms of where the Wii U is coming from, in some sense, it feels like it went a step backwards.
It did, because two screens, and you, man, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I said this on my last podcast. Like, if I didn't have to press the L stick in to see a map, if I could just constantly have that map displayed somewhere, that'd be great, instead of on the HUD. That'd be all right.
Shadow, we talked about this before we went live. You know, the Switch was a troll move.
No, of course.
They were trolling because
buy the Wii U again. That's the Switch.
Everybody that hated went out and did what?
Mm-hmm.
Bought a Switch. The Switch is Wii U 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so since we're not on Twitter now and people can't mistake what I'm saying, so like a couple of the trolls over here were I guess they came in trying to say God of War and stuff like that. Like people know I own every console, right? Like you name the two consoles I don't own, which is the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, right? Those are the two that you mentioned. God of War will be released pretty soon if it's not already broken street date.
Next week,
depending on your state. So
yeah,
I'll be playing it. I guess I had this individual looking at me on Twitter or whatever, and he was replying to some of the comments that I was making, and I was telling the truth. And I mentioned this earlier. I'm like, why are you talking about this being a masterpiece? Is it a fucking fun game? That's all I want to know. Because to me, out of nowhere, people were talking about God of War, and I'm like, what's this God of War game? And I look, and I'm like, oh my God, you're doing all these combos, you killing shit. It just looks awesome. And then you play it, and it actually feels that good. It actually feels fun. I'm like, okay, this isn't that same game. Is it still that fun? I hear what people that may or may not be paid to say are saying. And they're saying everything but if the game is fun or not. They're like, let me use this provocative term to describe this game. Motherfucker, is the game fun? That's all I'm trying to say.
I'm missing TC Carson already. So
yeah, like
it's like for instance, for example, like I give an example, and it's going to be a pretty extreme one. Like let's for instance, I remember when I saw the reviews for games like Just Dance and stuff like that. And I used to be a bit petty, but I used to be a bit more petty when it came to games. I used to think to myself, I'm not buying a game like Just Dance. That's some joke thing, fam. And obviously,
hold on. Somebody in the chat said the game is fun, and I'm trying to figure out how they did that without playing it because it's not available yet.
That's funny.
But we're not going to have that discussion.
But yeah, so but when I looked at videos of it, so to me, I thought to myself, the game's got a 5-something review. It can't be that great. But when I looked at videos of it online, because I know it's a game my little sister likes playing, and I just thought to myself, maybe this is something I could play with her. When I looked at it online and stuff, I saw it and I said to myself, this actually looks pretty fun. So I went and got the game and tried it out and started playing it. And one, it was great exercise because the game wore me out. But two, it was just a fun game. And it wasn't, I couldn't look at it in the same way that I would look at, say, A Legend of Zelda, because I play that for a completely different reason. I'm trying to get immersed when I play a Zelda game. Like I'm trying to get immersed into the whole fantasy of it all. I'm playing Just Dance. I'm just playing Just Dance because it's just like a little fun thing to just play. I can just have the remote in my hand, wave it in certain places and stuff like that, rather than having to focus on stepping my foot on a certain pad or whatnot and stuff. And it was just enjoyable. You play some tune that you like and then you're following all the dance moves. The point I'm making is
Rare Fox trolling in the chat. He said my uncle from Sony let me play it, so God of War is fun. That's for anybody that was born after 1999. That means that's an old joke from back in the day. From somebody says my uncle works at Nintendo. That used to be the old rumor before the internet existed of how people knew things before they happened and they never really happened. They're like, oh man, I'm telling you, man, Jax turns into a bunny rabbit and he eats everybody in Mortal Kombat. Man, it's an animality before they even made animalities. And they're like, how do you know that? Man, my uncle working Nintendo and they working on Mortal Kombat 2 over there. Like that's the type of shit you would hear on the street before, just as an example or whatever. I mean, I know the internet was around.
And then really and truly you find out that their uncle was working at a game store that was just selling Nintendo games. There you go.
There you go. They uncle work for Nintendo though. Let them tell it. I'm like, man, ain't that many people in the world lived in Redmond or anywhere near Seattle, but let them tell it. They all DigiPen graduates.
Yeah, but the point is when I got that game, playing that game made me understand Nintendo's theory about wanting to bring in more casual gamers and stuff like that, because I realized that, even as a hardcore, because there's no such thing as obviously a hardcore casual game. There's moments where you're hardcore, there's moments where you're casual. But it's just like I realize their theory because I just think to myself, look, all my friends who don't really play video games, they're not into video games like that. You know, when this one I was living at Wolves, and my friends in this one I was living in Wolverhampton, and my friends at uni in Wolverhampton, they weren't really into video games like that. This was more my thing. But when we came over, they all wanted to play Just Dance, and we all had fun. Like, these are people who aren't even into gaming, but they can pick up this game, pick up a remote in their hand, and just play and enjoy themselves.
That seems to be the case with the vast majority of sports games too. It's not necessarily the hardcore story mode and stuff like that. People are buying these games. I've seen this in a number of instances where people are buying these games. They may or may not play them when they have time, but when they have company, they'll turn it on and then try to play against each other. It's just like one of those things where it's an icebreaker. Like you would back in the old days when you would go in somebody's house, in the first room in the house, there was a couple of chairs in there and there was a chess table. So those kind of things, it seems that's like the majority of people that are buying video games these days, because it's $1 billion industry now. The majority of those people are those type of casuals. They aren't, and that's probably why the Wii was so popular or whatever, because it was something that everybody could get, and it was a conversation starting like, oh, you have that Wii, let's go and try to play that or whatever. Nobody wanted to master it. Nobody wanted to say, you know, hey man, I know this new code, blah blah blah. They're just like, okay, let's play with this shit. Let's see who wins and talk shit against each other, because you could do it directly against each other. So a lot of these games, a lot of these sports games for a long time have been that. I've experienced that definitely through college, and even in my adult life a lot. A lot of these guys, a lot of them don't play it. Now a lot of my friends do, because a lot of my coworkers and people I work with, we're in the tech industry, so obviously we're going to be more nerds about it, and we're going to play online or whatever. But people that aren't really into stuff like that, they'll have a PlayStation in their house. They may not turn it on that much other than to let it update or whatever. They may play a game every once in a while, but other than that, they're just kind of the guy that comes home from work and they just watch TV more than anything else. And then when their friends come over and they're drinking or whatever on a Friday night or New Year's Eve or whatever, then they'll pull out a game and start playing. I hate to say it, but that's every lead console that has a shitload of consoles sold. A lot of those consoles are in that situation. And
that's what happens. And this is where you get the whole thing of, oh, this console, this has become a dead console, is collecting dust. It's collecting
dust when you're playing it too.
Exactly. In fact, when you're playing, it's probably collecting more dust, because that's when the actual system and the fans are spinning up. So when you
let me not ignore the chat, because one of the things I hate, and I've seen a couple of times where on another person's channel, somebody would ask a direct question about something they were talking about. They said post questions in the chat so they could talk back to them, but it was a question they knew they couldn't answer, so they didn't even address it. They acted as if it didn't exist, even though that person paid to ask the question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to address this question. They're talking about this hybrid PC console thing that's called the GPD Win 2, and I'll just say, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Game Idea guy, didn't he review that?
I know this is my first time hearing that.
He asked me about it at some point on Google Plus, and he wanted to get more info on it. And I thought he had reviewed it at some point. But I guess they want to know what my opinion is on it. I'm like, it's a fucking PC. I saw some pictures of, maybe this isn't it, but I saw some pictures of one that literally is it looks like a tablet PC that has it has left and right analog stick built into it, and it's literally running Windows in the middle, and you can either use the touchscreen in the middle, or there's a keyboard attachment that comes with it as well. So if I'm right, is that the same? Let me know in the chat if that's the right thing that I'm talking about based on that picture. But people were talking about how do I feel about it, like making the Switch irrelevant. That's not even, obviously it's not going to make it irrelevant. Do you own one? I don't own one. But a lot of people own the Switch. I don't.
The thing is, when you start talking about relevancy and things of that nature, will it have like those titles that Nintendo has? Like, will it have a Metroid Prime? Will it have Legend of Zelda, Mario? It's not going to be relevant.
Will that emulator even work on it? Like, we don't even know if it'll work on there.
So
and then with so many knockoff versions on it, how do you know you're going to get one that's going to be even stable?
Yeah, so
it's not like there's any big name brand that's holding on to these, unless like Samsung or Apple take up one. But while it's these little unknown brands and stuff like that, that are just building this out of their backyard warehouse.
I'll humor it. I'll go ahead and look it up. I'm not even gonna. I'm
not trying to put them in any box or anything like that, but it's just I know the trends of technology, and whenever you've got something that's leading the market, there's always 1,000 knockoffs to follow behind it.
Yeah, I mean that's how it works.
So it got pinned on Indiegogo. What date was this? When did it start?
It's like how many different tablets are there? But people only care about the Galaxy and the iPad.
It's made some money, and it made $2 million raised for it. That's 20 over 20. That's almost 2,600% of their original funding. So and it's literally like a little. I can't explain it. It's almost like a very, very small 6-inch laptop that has dual analog sticks on it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Is it even dual analog? I have to look at the picture. It looks like it has a D-pad.
It is dual analog.
It is dual analog, but it has a D-pad too. Here's my other thing. Nintendo is the king of the D-pad. So even whatever this cross pad is here, it's not gonna be the same. Well, even if I don't know if they're gonna be sued or not, but it's not gonna be the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see myself playing a lot of emulated fighting games on there.
I don't see myself spending nearly £300 on it.
And it's like Intel HD graphics 615. Like, no,
is that it? Like,
yeah. and so based on that, it's gonna share VRAM from whatever memory you have.
ShadowCasts, that's not even the point. The point is just using Intel HD graphics. When has Intel ever made good graphics?
So they were trying to remember. They were trying to do that merger. They were trying to hire AMD employees to where they could build on the Intel HD brand. I don't know if this was one of the products of that, but I do know that they were trying to improve Intel HD because it was notoriously bad for the longest time.
It's still quite bad.
Yeah, but AMD's onboard graphics solutions work pretty well on the.
Yeah, their onboard a lot of their onboard. I remember when I had what board was it? This was it was a 7. That's it. It was a 790 GX. And these were like at the time, these were like the high-end boards that also came with onboard graphics. And I had at the time I had a 3300. At the time I had a 3300 HD onboard graphics, and God knows how much better the ones that are at now. But I was running Unreal Tournament 2004 on there, no problem. Heck, I was even running Crysis at stupid low settings on there.
Yeah, it says it has a Intel Core M3. Like,
so what AMD's onboard chips can do now is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it being integrated graphics is going to be the limiting factor here.
Yeah,
because you're trying to share that with main memory, and that's going to kill the bus because the bus is being pointed more than one way at the same time now.
And not only that, if you're talking about trying to work with if you're talking about a graphics card working with main memory, something that processes in parallel, then anything. If you're talking about something that processes in parallel, that is going towards something that hasn't typically got a high bandwidth, then yeah, you're never going to get the most efficient use out of it. There's a reason why there's such thing as VRAM.
So they're asking about whether it would run Doom better or not. I would imagine it would run Doom better because Doom is CPU bound, so it would. Would it run Nintendo games better? I guess it would depend on the game. But anything that's GPU bound, no, it's not going to work that well on this. Because now you're in a situation where the GPU has to ask for more RAM, then the CPU goes through a whole cycle to say you can have it.
And furthermore, it has to ask for RAM that is of low bandwidth, which for a GPU processor is not really efficient. Like, you want high bandwidth for a GPU processor, as it processes everything in parallel. So,
and it's running Windows too. That's the other down thing to it.
Exactly.
It's not a custom. There's not a custom gaming environment.
You see, this is what gets me annoyed when people try and not even just in gaming in general, when people try and talk technology. And they talk because they say something is powerful because someone said it was powerful, and it's nothing to ever do with that. It's depending on the system, what you need it for, and how you design it. Like,
this dude just trying to compare the RAM numbers and say, well, this has it's not a checklist. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. Well, this has 4 and this has 8. Oh my God. No, it doesn't work that way. It's not.
No, it doesn't. At the end of the day, like, you know, if you build a system that's meant to work around 2 gigs of RAM, if you put 4 gigs of RAM in it, you may actually end up slowing it down.
Yeah, you will, because you'll double the pipe. Exactly.
So, you know, it's people need to realize none of this is down to power. It's down to design. It's always ever been down to design. In fact, the constant drive for power is actually killing better design, because people think they can just stuff a big processor in there and it's all going to work well, and that's not necessarily the case.
I'm still looking at this guy that these are all these individuals are related to one certain person, but this guy is like he said that Doom is more GPU heavy. Their engines have never been GPU heavy. They've all been CPU bound for the most part.
And that went back to the first one, right?
Yeah, back to it take from the beginning. They're CPU bound. They've never really, I guess, going forward, using different engines. If they decide to leave id Tech and go completely Unreal, I could see how they'd be able to take more advantage of GPU side things than
Unreal Engine is Unreal Engine more CPU bound or GPU bound?
Now it's more GPU bound. Unreal Engine 3 was extremely CPU heavy. If you didn't have certain CPU specs, you expect really bad performance.
That explains why that explains why Unreal Engine works so well on the Wii U.
Yeah, well, I mean, even I would say, like, a lot of gaming laptops, Unreal Engine 4 games they're running really good.
Yeah. What was it? What was I going to say? You know, a lot of people didn't realize the Wii could actually run Unreal Engine 3.
Why wouldn't it be able to?
I've
heard a lot of
because you know Red Steel was actually running, the Red Steel 1 was actually running using a version of Unreal Engine 3, I think.
It was like Unreal Engine 2.9
well, no, it's 2.5
or something.
It was at 2.5
It was like whatever. All the graphics effects from Unreal Engine 3 were putting in 480p, and they called it Unreal Engine 2.
Well,
whatever,
to be fair, if you look at the Xbox 360 and the PS3, they weren't using Unreal Engine 3. They were also using Unreal Engine 2.5.
Yeah, using modified stuff for the longest time. So,
so you know, it goes back to the whole thing. It's down to the design and how you program for it at the end of the day. It's just that you look at 3DS is a good example, because you look at the 3DS screens are not high resolution screens at all, yet somehow you get high quality images out of them.
To the chat, I am a guy with tech experience. Who's the person that has more tech experience than me? I guess would be the question here. I claim Doom is more GPU bound because in the past it has been more CPU bound than GPU bound. That's been the case all the time. Please, somebody tell me who said that Doom has always been more GPU bound, or any of id Tech's engines has been more GPU bound.
at the end of the day, a lot of times you can tell when a game is more CPU or GPU bound by its branding when you run it. Like a lot of times it will, if it's more GPU bound, a lot of times it will push the GPU logo that is more GPU bound too. So like it will push AMD or it will push NVIDIA. If it's more CPU bound, then again you're going to see AMD or you're going to see Intel instead. Most times, most games are programmed to run on in processor-wise are programmed to run on Intel, so you usually see an Intel CPU logo. So
this guy says you want me to have a conversation with somebody. Like I don't even know who you're talking about. Okay, whatever.
Those
they can
things,
come here too. I don't really give a fuck.
Those things for me have always been indicators to see whether a game is more than likely to be either CPU or GPU bound, and which type of CPU or GPU is going to be more better optimized for.
All right. Well, here's the thing. The thing is, John Carmack never changed the logic. Going from the different variations of id Tech. There were some things that he wanted to do to optimize on the GPU side of things that kind of worked and kind of didn't. I'm pretty sure everybody remembers mega textures. That worked in some instances in the pursuit of high performance at very low resource requirements, but it left a lot to be desired. Basically, you had to do a lot of tiling, if you will. So there's be a lot of repeated textures. But you got these very complex, large things. There was just copies of them everywhere, with complete good shadowing and all the other kind of stuff. But there was just copies of the same stuff over and over again. But no, that's what we're dealing with. And I don't know. We're talking about Wolfenstein too. They're talking about stuff over here, and I'm like, well, we don't even know really what it's doing on the Switch yet, per se. I would rather, and I don't even. Do I even want to go into the whole situation where I don't know why everybody's praising Digital Foundry other than, I mean, they have a capture card tied to a script.
Didn't you already do this like last year?
Yeah, we already did that, and then magically came out with a YouTube video saying, "Hey, we're doing frame rating now, guys. We're caught up with the PC guys."
I remember when they had that one on Bayonetta 2 with all the frame rate issues and stuff like that. They're saying that the frame rate dips, blah blah, this that. I played through that game from start to finish, unless there was 1,000,001 things going on the screen, which may have at times caused very small performance dips. For the most part, the game ran like butter throughout.
Yeah, so
it's what you said. Yeah, at the end of the day, if you're using a capture card to detect frame rate, then your logic is already flawed because a capture card can't capture beyond 30 frames anyway.
And here's the other thing too. So a console was designed to deliver a digital image or convert a digital image to an analog image in a certain type of way, and it's looking for certain delays that are going to happen on the end of said display. Not everybody plays games on a monitor or plays games on a monitor through a capture card. It's a completely different experience. And once you put something in between there and you're trying to monitor, it's not going to be the exact same result, especially when you deal with the older consoles, because the older consoles had it down to a science. They were literally writing to the metal, and they're like, we're going to send this pixel to here on this frame, and then on the 9th frame, we'll have a pixel over here. That type of shit will have you thinking that every game on the NES ran at like 3 frames per second. But because of the case in the nature and how they're deciding to capture stuff or how they're trying to measure what they're capturing, that's how they get what they get. So
you didn't really have much choice back then. I mean, consoles were running on what, 7 hertz or some shit like that.
So that's kind of what you're dealing with. But then you get better performance to the end user doing whatever interlacing or whatever they were doing at the time, versus, oh my God, we need this raw throughput and we're showing all these pixels at one time type deal, and that's something that can be measured. I mean, yeah, it could then at the time,
that's
but
a very animalistic logic to go by, and it's only people who are lazy that would really go by it. Because even if you think of many different setups, like you look at a network environment, even if they're using the most powerful tech, no network environment is designed based on power. It's designed based on how they can get the cabling round at the shortest distances and make sure communication is efficient.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to give too much more attention to trolls, but we'll put it this way. Let's say that this device I just looked at was in every way significantly more powerful than a Nintendo Switch. Does that mean playing games on that is more convenient or more fun? I don't even know if it's actually available now, because it looks like it's still doing this Kickstarter thing right now. But if it was available tomorrow, does that mean I'm going to take my Switch and throw it away, and then go with this thing that I have to download games on, and then deal with Steam or whatever emulator I decide to use? Is that going to be my new thing, or this Switch thing where I can either separate the controllers at any time whenever I want to, dock it and put it on TV? Yeah, put it on TV whenever I want to, add additional controllers whenever I want to, without having to install drivers, without having to install additional firmware or anything like that to get that stuff to work. It's just one of those things where the whole reason people play consoles still comes into play there. So unless you want to do the whole thing where PC versus console, blah, 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 I'm like, I have a PC right here. I have the PC right here. It works just fine. And I use it when I want to. When I don't want to, I play the Switch.
I just think this whole PC versus consoles when it comes to gaming, it's just like it's so limiting to the PC, because it's just like there is so much more you can do on a PC rather than just gaming. You don't buy a console for thinking that, I can edit music, pictures, I can do this and blah 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 that. Even if it has some of those features, you primarily buy it because you want the games on it.
Exactly.
Well, that's what you're supposed to. You're supposed to buy it for that.
Yeah. So I don't understand why somebody is saying, well, this game is running this. I'm like, that means the programmers were shitty. They need to do a better job so it runs a little bit better on PC or console. I mean, that's what developers' jobs are. I mean, to be honest, it's not the hardware doing the work. There's a program being created by people, and garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much all I have to say with that. But whatever.
At the end, well, it's simple. At the end, I think the biggest problem now is just, again, people have access to the biggest problem is that the technology that people have access to now in terms of speed and what it can do and stuff like that, people don't really have to optimize in that sense nowadays. They're in positions where they can be lazy, which is bad, because even because it doesn't just affect consoles, it affects PCs. I mean, to be honest, it affects PCs, and it's understandable because you want to push hardware and you want to give yourself more room for error and stuff like that. But a lot of these games that are running on the PC don't need the level of hardware they have to run them.
Yeah. Can I choose my own web browser? How does it help me play a game? I don't. Just different things. You're talking about external GPUs and stuff like that. First of all, that may happen. We don't know what's happening with this supplemental computing device thing. And even then, is it going to make my game more fun? We don't really know. Like, I've already chosen to play games on the Switch in 1080p versus playing games in 4K on a PS4 Pro or Xbox One X or PC. I mean, if I just really want to play in the best way, shape, or form, I still don't want this device, because I could just do it right here in 4K. I don't even need any of that.
Well, it's again, and as well, PC, like, everyone had their preference of choice based on the types of games you play and based on the advantages they offered on those platforms. Like, one of the main reasons I play PC is for first-person shooters. I just don't think you're going to have a first-person shooter experience on the closest thing to me that was the Wii. And I just don't think you're going to have a first-person shooter experience on a console that you can have on a PC, simply because of the mouse and keyboard and the fact that if you have the right mouse, you could literally map most of your important functions to one hand.
Yeah.
You know,
and I do like that. I like that for MMOs as well.
Yes, that's another thing.
You can map key functions there. But that was something where I'm like, at some point, somebody should have tried to put an MMO on the Wii U because it was begging for that.
It was the perfect console for it. In fact, to be honest, the Wii U was, to me, I think it was, the concept of it was just too ahead of its time. I mean, there's so much that could have been done with that system. And even on a technological standpoint, it was pushing things forward because it basically found a way to make what seemed like it took a lot of power into something that, you know, could run at freaking 33 watts, fam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just amazing to this day. I don't know why people tend to think that that dedicated servers for every game exist on every platform. Like it differs from game to game. That's not even. It depends on what the game is. Like a lot of games, they'll pretend to have dedicated servers, but the servers are just they're just basically gatekeepers for you to do your matchmaking, and then it's still peer to peer at that point.
Yeah.
So short of having a shitload of Wireshark image captures to where we can actually prove all of this. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, well, is your experience any better versus I've played some games with dedicated servers that were absolute shit and compare it to peer to peer. So it just depends.
It depends on the it depends on the people who are configuring the network.
Yeah, I do. Like I hear all these arguments, and I understand. I get what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say is that there are a lot more options on the PC, and there should be, because the PC is designed to do things other than play games. Why wouldn't it have a shitload of options?
Exactly.
But then to sit there and try to shoehorn that as evidence to say I should ignore something else completely that I've already chosen to use instead of this thing that is still far better than what you're proposing to me. Like if what you're proposing to me should make me give up playing the Switch, or in my opinions, certainly try to say that, oh, well, there's no point in me playing the Switch now because everything I could do on it could be done way better elsewhere, or the specifications or games run better. Like I would never leave this screen, and I definitely wouldn't buy that 6-inch shit to play half 1080p on the go or what have you. And I still can't just, whatever game I started here, pull that thing out, and is as if I never pause the game or never shut it down, unless I'm playing an MMO. I guess it's the only type of game where that would happen. Like if it's Steam, that's not necessarily the case. I would have to have, not all games store all the saves in the cloud on Steam. So now you're in another scenario where, based on game to game, because PC, all games are game to game, and how they're set up, how they're laid out, where the files are, you may not have that same scenario. With the Switch, I can take shit off the TV, and what I just finished seeing on the TV is immediately in my hand. You can't say that with any type of mobile hardware that exists today other than that. That's the only console that does it. The only hardware that does it.
And seamlessly as well.
People try to come up with other stuff, and no, you can't. It's not the same. Just not the same at all. So, I don't know, man. It's. I wanted to talk about God of War because it's got a lot of good reviews out there. I'm just still worried about it's not the same combat engine. I've heard that it's the same feel.
Man, it's not the same voice actor.
Well, I mean, they.
I kid.
But with Sony in general, it appears to be getting rid of. Well, that all started. I think that all started with David Hayter being kicked out. Yeah. So it just seems like everybody started
because he a hater.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Call him a hater, David the Hater.
David Hayter.
Yeah, he seems like he started. the only person that they keeps their job is Tara Strong, and what's the other girl's name? I can't think of her name right now either.
If Tara Strong get fired, we revolt.
Yeah, Tara Strong does. She does all the voices for all the characters, for the most part. But no, I think that I'm pretty sure the game is going to be good. I'm fairly sure of that. I don't know for certain, and I don't know in what way. I think that based on what I'm seeing, if I go into this thinking that it's going to be as fun as the combat in the other God of War games, I'm going to be disappointed somewhat.
Another Blaze of Chaos.
I think for me to have the best amount of fun with this game is to go in completely blind, not know what I'm about to see, and then the things that are true to God of War start to speak to me, versus me in there like, hey, I need to do these mad air combos, and I need to be able to, solve these random puzzles in between all these fights or whatever. I do believe if I take the blinders off, and not expect old school PS2 God of War or PSP God of War, then I'll have a much better experience. I think that needs to be said. I think that all the reviews need to make that clear, because a lot of people are probably going to think that they can just hop on this after playing God of War 3. And I just don't want anybody to be disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed.
I hope people ain't thinking like that. You don't even have your you don't have your regular weapons. You got an axe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what they're trying to say is that they could take the franchise to any form of mythology. They can go from Greek to Norse and vice versa. That's fine. That works for me. But yeah,
a lot of people have been saying that, like when three came around, they was like, what are they going to do next? They need to go to other, mythologies, and I mean that's the smart place to take it.
Yeah,
I mean, because based on, and this isn't a spoiler alert, but based on how 3 ended, the world should be done. Based on the way 3 ended, right? He shouldn't be in Viking country. The world should be destroyed. But that's just me, quoting what actually happened at the end of the game. If you played it, when you kill Zeus, you pretty much destroyed the Earth. You think you destroyed the Earth. So I'm wondering how they're going to clear that up when this starts.
Maybe they just ignore it altogether since it's a different mythology.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only other way I can think it could be explained, to be honest with you.
Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah, they just like, whatever. We're not even worried about you guys anymore. You and all your wives. We don't care about that. We're single. We're single fathers now.
We shouting out to the real fathers out in the world today.
Yeah, that's the way it's working now. But no, I mean, it looks impressive. I guess that's what you should say if looking at the camera angles and the type of action that's happening. I guess I want to see more of, hey, this is what the gameplay loop looks like all the time. I think that was more of the issue with what game was that? Was it? I can't think of the name of it right now. The why can't I think of the name of this game? Oh my god, it wasn't the Order. The Order 1886 was more my issue, where you have
the game that lasted 1866 seconds.
Well, there you go. But you have all these really good looking cutscenes and whatnot, and then the meat of the game is where you are. So I don't know, man. I just really, I was under the impression that if Sony was going to go full bore into a new game, they wouldn't be as bold. To me, I think something like this was reserved for using an engine they had already created for the PlayStation 4. So you start the PlayStation 4 with the I guess, another God of War game in the Greek whatever, and then turn it up to 10 or do a retelling of the first game or whatever. And then you do this new entry in the franchise that's going to branch out with the same engine, so you're able to get that turnaround or whatnot. Because this is a big risk. It's a really big risk for them to do. And Sony franchises, for the most part, they haven't been doing as well of late as far as recouping on investment. We've all seen them close studios before, so like, yeah, at some point within the same year that they don't do too well financially, and that's not good for anybody because a lot of these games, a lot of Sony's in-house games are pretty good. So it's just if they don't sell with Nintendo's like they're not going to pull a Nintendo and say, oh, we'll keep you around for a little bit, we'll find a way for you to be profitable. Sony's like,
I think one of the biggest issues with Sony is also the budgets they invest in their games as well.
Yeah, big, huge budget for unknown developer, and then the game bombs, and they're like, so we just lost money on you. Kick rocks. I'm like, God, man, like you put these guys together like a dream team. You gave them all this money, and you didn't advertise it well enough. The game comes out, and you're looking at them like, why didn't your game sell? They're like, well, we made it the best way we probably could with all the money you gave us.
So unfortunately, though, Sony's in a bit of a quagmire because a lot of people don't buy Sony's consoles for their exclusives.
Yeah,
it's even worse that Sony tend to push games that aren't exclusive just as much, if not more, than games that are exclusive to them.
Yeah, I think they've probably already had that talk internally where, okay, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board on how we do these things. I think Microsoft was in the middle of doing that too. I'm really hoping around the time for the launch of their 9th generation platform, the Xbox brand comes out swinging. Like, they have a new Gears, they have a new Halo, they have all that stuff lined up. They have the projects lined up to where they have a consistent release schedule. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case for all three platforms, to be honest.
They have the rare library. They shouldn't be having this problem.
But what did Microsoft buy Rare for? I guess to run them into the ground. I don't know what
to be fair, to be honest, Rare was running themselves into the ground anyway.
True. True.
Honestly, I think they bought them so Nintendo wouldn't have them. They New England Patriots did it.
God.
They pulled the New England Patriots.
But I'm thinking if they were as bad as people had rumored, like people were talking about what happened when the Stampers left and everything.
Yeah.
If it was that bad, Nintendo probably would have pulled a retro and said, "Look, everything y'all working on, fuck that shit. Do this, and we're gonna watch it, and we're gonna email us every week."
Basically, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Somebody mentioned Fable. Yeah, it'll be good to see what a new Fable will look like right about now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fable was actually the first two Fables I actually enjoyed.
Hold on, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Pulling a single cord out is quicker than pulling out Joy-Cons and then pulling it out. What the fuck? You don't pull any cords out when you take the Switch on the go. You pull the entire console out the dock and walk away. The hell is he talking about? Okay, whatever. Anyway.
Apparently he doesn't have a Switch, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Doesn't sound like it at all. And I guess we didn't understand the point of you have a dock or you have more than one dock that's already plugged to a TV, so you don't have to do anything but put the system in and take it out. Like, I have 3 docks. Pick a room, I can just put the Switch in there. I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah.
That's why they sold the dock separate.
Yep. That way you don't have to buy 3 consoles. Otherwise.
Yeah, that was the whole point of them selling it separate.
Jesus, man. Okay, whatever. Anyway, man. So
you have some interesting fans, dude.
Yeah, it's just weird stuff. Do we want to talk about this best game of the year thing? Because it's really early. It hasn't really been much.
We haven't even got to E3 yet. How can we talk about it?
Yeah, there hasn't been too much really going on. So there's a lot of decent stuff out there so far, but nothing that's really piqued my interest. To be honest with you, the beginning of 2018 was backlog for obviously Christmas time and stuff like that, playing Doom and Doom again, and then Xenoblade Chronicles 2, stuff like that. Super Mario Odyssey, whatever. Just catching up on stuff. What now?
And then play Doom again.
Yeah, and then play Doom again, and then the updates, and then you play it again. Like people still playing Rocket League. I mean, Rocket League, is 2 years old now? Maybe 3?
I think it is.
Yeah, it might be 3 years old on PC now. I'm not, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's eventually going to get to a point where game releases are just not going to be that big of a deal anymore. I mean, it's kind of be like how music is now. When someone drops an album, I mean, you know, you go to listen to the album because you've got so many platforms to access it on and stuff like that. It's just not that big of a deal. Oh, someone's album's out. Okay, let me go on Spotify and check it out. And I think gaming's going to get to that point eventually, because you see, even with mobile gaming, no one really cares about when a mobile game comes out. You know, if it's there, it's just there and available to play. You know, it's going to be more about what is the trending topic.
Yeah.
It's not going to be. What'd you say?
Kardashians always the Kardashian game. The Kardashians always will be. Always.
Mm-hmm. So it's soon going to get to that point where it's just going to be about trending topic. And if the game that, you know, it's going to be very hard. It's only really going to be real dedicated gamers who are going to know when certain games are releasing, when to go for them and stuff like that, because they're going to be the only ones really checking up on what's actually happening.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but the majority of gamers that are in the know, we are not the majority when it comes to sales. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there are people out there like Xenoblade ended up selling 1 million copies or something like that. Xenoblade 2. I have a strange feeling that a lot of those people only bought that game because they saw that commercial and they saw how you can just take the game on the go. Versus, oh my God, I'm a fan of Xenoblade. Like, dude, like at some point this game wasn't even coming over here because there was zero interest for any of those games until they revisited it after a bunch of people complained. So you're talking maybe a couple 100,000 type audience to now it's, you know, millions of people. That's a big jump, and I can only say that it's probably because the console is popular. And I hate to say that, but it's just the console is popular. So people are like, what games can I buy for this thing? Ooh, this commercial's on a lot, which is a very good thing because, oh my God, the Cammy Dunaway era is over with. Jesus Christ. Marketing, just the worst. So that was probably one of the bad things about Wii U. Like a lot of people said stuff like, oh, well, the Switch clearly told you that there's an adult and he's playing this and he's doing that. So that means we can play this console. I'm like, the first 5 commercials for the Wii U showed nothing but adults.
Yeah,
and stupid techno music.
Yeah, it did the same. A lot of people have short-term memory loss, but yeah, it did the same exact thing.
Yeah, they didn't start showing kids until 2 years later, and people weren't buying Wii U's yet. So they're like, okay, we got to at least get some holiday sales. So they literally had kids in commercials saying, this is why you should buy us a Wii U for Christmas. Like that literally was a commercial.
The Smash Brothers one with the kid getting his ass whooped by his older brother.
Yep.
Which one? What was the other one? The Mario Kart commercial with the kid in it. And there was another one that had a kid in it.
And those were... God, they were annoying. Those are bad. Those are really bad. That didn't work at all. I don't know what was going on with the marketing team at that time. I think they didn't even want. I don't even think they wanted the console to sell the way they were marketing stuff. It's just bad. But everything leading up to the console kind of worked. Even it should have worked in theory, because as cringy as some of those first commercials for Wii U were, the majority of commercials were organized the same way. That type of music, which was very annoying to me still to this day, that stuff was trending at the time. This was the rise of Dead Mouse and all the other type of stuff. So Nintendo was trying to jump on that bandwagon and do the whole house trance party type environment and say, hey, we got this console here. You can, play many controllers can play at one time, just like the Wii can. But also we have this little thing here, so you can, play sing or whatever, and you can read the fucking lyrics right here or whatever, and nobody has to see them but you. And you can just worry about, you focusing on getting the words right or playing, whatever type of games, and you control your screen and everybody else looks on the TV. That type of scenario, all those things were there. And then they even showed a scenario where the boyfriend and girlfriend were there. The boyfriend was on the couch. He was playing a game. Then the girlfriend came in and stood there. Then he's like, oh, okay. And then he switched the Wii U on the TV, and then they snuggled up and watched a movie. So that type of stuff, all of that stuff was there in the first couple of commercials. I don't know why people are acting brain dead to it. Like they don't remember. You can easily find these on YouTube. They didn't go anywhere. So I don't know why people forget that they happened. So this dude is like, am I going to talk? No, dude, like, no, not right now. Not right now. And what is it going to do? Like, would be the only emulator machine you can play Wii and Wii U games on the go? Didn't you say that was a good thing? I want to play Wii and Wii U games on the go with better emulation that's probably handled by Nintendo because they know their games better than any one person that created Cemu or Dolphin.
Well, for one,
now I'm waiting on one person to tell me that the developers of Cemu and Dolphin are smarter than Nintendo on their own IPs and how they program their own code. I'll wait.
For one, also as well, I want to know, how the hell do you plan on doing Wii U emulation without a second screen?
I'm trying to figure out how you do Wii U emulation without breaking the law.
Which is?
Because all Wii U games are encrypted. And if you break encryption other than the way that it was intended, that is copyright law.
That is true.
And people dance around that a lot. It's just one of those things. People dance around that a lot. I mean, look at the law. That is literally the law. You cannot circumvent in any way any type of protections that are put on any type of software without the express written permission from whoever created said software.
Furthermore, people need to. Furthermore, another thing as well, I want to know how people are going to emulate the Wii U when the Wii U is Nintendo, in terms of their home console, is Nintendo's first custom made OS from the ground up.
Let me make this extremely clear, because this is always a defense that people that don't know what they're talking about jump to when we talk about the whole emulation situation. When I said what I said, at no point did I mention anything about emulation being illegal. I mentioned breaking encryption and breaking copyright is illegal. The weird thing about Wii U is all of the emulators that are available, they also come with weird little tools that convert one version of a file to another version of a file. When you're doing that, you're decrypting said file. That file is the game code itself, the object files, all that type of stuff. If that stuff is unencrypted and you run it on that emulator, that is illegal because you've broken that encryption to get there. Even if you don't even play the game, even if you don't use the emulator, the act of using the tool to decompress the 3D files themselves breaks copyright law. So no, emulation is not illegal. Breaking encryption is illegal. Good luck playing highly compressed games, encrypted games on Wii U without decrypting them. Good luck. So, we've tried that before, and then now we're trying to go and talk about things that weren't encrypted, that were clear, that aren't even the same. Wii U specifically, the disks are encrypted. The firmware is encrypted. Each individual game has a public and private key. What do you need keys for? To decrypt.
Yep.
And no, that whole if you have the game, it's okay. Right.
Okay. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna hold up in the court of law. Just gonna
you still can't break encryption. Period. It doesn't matter whether you own the game or not. If it's in the clear and Nintendo says, "Hey, here's this unencrypted game for you to emulate if you want," then that's legal. Please tell me when Nintendo's done that.
Never is the correct answer.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing, and I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some saint because I've used emulators and I've done all of that stuff and things like that, But here's the thing, Nintendo's invested how many millions or how many hundreds of thousands developing this game? How many hundreds of thousands or whatever developing this game? I think you pay $50 to $60 for this game. In all honesty, that is a fair exchange. So you shouldn't ever be complaining about having to do anything which involves you having to exchange for it. Because at the end of the day, the exchange is, when you look at it from that perspective, the exchange is fair. You going to do emulation now is just you being a greedy motherfucker who don't want to pay for nothing.
Now think about the opposite effect. The opposite situation is you be that cheap ass, right? Then you go build this PC or you buy this. We don't even know what the full price is for this thing. I mean, obviously it could change at any time because it's still in Kickstarter. You buy this device, the emulator doesn't even work for it. You get these totally legal unencrypted files directly from Nintendo, and then you try to run them and the performance isn't the same as it is on the original platform. And you want that and you're not able to get it, or texture pop in, any of those type of things, all those weird things happen. Things like voice sound effects, shadows, all that stuff being completely fucked up. Or in scenarios where it's perfectly fine and then you go to one scene and it's completely fucked up. Or some games don't even have a start screen because the start screen, for whatever reason, wasn't decrypted or decrypted.
And furthermore,
for each and every game, you have to deal with that.
And furthermore, the emulators can't keep the frame rate at the consistent level it would if you were playing the game on the console.
Yeah, and it's not something that can be. That's not an opinion. These are these are documented occurrences that happen, and it's going to happen anyway as emulation takes on its shape and it gets better over time. Blah 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 blah. You can talk about whatever you want to. Currently, right now, Cemu is a fucking bag of ass. Like, it's not anywhere close to what Wii U does. When you stick a disc in and you don't have to do anything else, you don't have to be connected to the internet. You don't have to download any patches or anything like that. If you have a patch for the Wii U, you can hit cancel, and guess what? You can still run the game just fine. It's just one of those weird things where, yes, it's fine, well and good. Some people don't want to pay. I understand. Like, I would never be a person where every single time a game comes out, I'm paying the full $60 for that every single time. A lot of the games I have, I either got for $50, $40 or something like that. That's probably the majority of my collection because I have a backlog anyway. What's the point of me getting it the day that it comes out? To impress another motherfucker on the internet? No. If I wanted to play the game that bad, then I'll do it. But I'm not going to rush to go do that when I can get around to it whenever I finish the rest of my backlog for the current time. So, I mean, there's no reason, especially with the majority of the games now, like on the other platforms, it's a blockbuster game and it's great and it's considered for Game of the Year. But by the time the Game of the Year awards are given out, the game's $20.
And furthermore, I wonder what I want to know about a lot of these gamers and stuff like that. It's just that, you talk about games so much, like to say your whole life is games, and it's just like people have normal lives, so it's just, how serious are you about all of this stuff? Are you really sitting there playing games 24/7 as you're talking about it, which you can't be because you spend more time talking about, like, these people clearly have a lot of time on their hands, or they have no time at all and they're just chatting shit for the sake of chatting shit.
It's obvious they don't play 24/7. They wouldn't be in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. But you know, people like to defend that type of stuff. That's fine, well and good. I mean, I definitely have to be on top of emulation anyway. For the nature of a lot of things, if not my own curiosity, but definitely for the nature of a lot of things, I have to be on top of that. But that's the case for some people that want to experiment and go down that route. In no way, shape, or form are you guaranteed every single game in the Wii U library or any other platform for that matter is 100% accurate.
Have you tried Cemu?
Oh, of course.
So because how does the gamepad function?
So I've got a video. I started to upload it, but I don't like doing the. If I do the back and forth, whatever, I'll be forever doing that. It's not worth the time. But yeah. So a certain individual that probably is listening right now, or is typing right now, posted a video saying that Wii U games aren't encrypted because he legally ripped games from his Wii U and then put them in an emulator and had them run with zero decryption going on. Not only did I have the same decryption tool on my PC that I used to open the same game, the exact same file name came from the exact same source on GitHub, and the file name for the ROM was the exact same exact same file name of the ROM that I had. So if you legally ripped this game directly from the disk, how come I'm able to download the exact same one with the exact same file name?
That is bullshit.
Doesn't sound pretty legal to me. And also, there's this whole thing that before you run the game, you have to run the decryption part before the game is able to be playable, because there's only certain type of files that Cemu will run. Both of those they're decrypted formats.
But that's stupid, because it's even gets more stupid, because that's like me saying, oh, I've got this album on CD and I ripped it through Media Player. Like, I'm still, you know, and I get it as an MP3 or a WMA, but the original file was not WMA or MP3. It was a format for what's it called, for pressing on an audio CD.
Yes,
I can't remember what it's called.
UDF, I believe. Is Wave converted to UDF is what you end up printing a master with.
So, you know, right there in a basic sense, it shows you, like, you know, like you said, once I've converted the file format of the album to MP3, I have actually infringed copyright, unless I've actually downloaded the album in a digital MP3 format.
This person isn't listening to my conversation. I said I had a video that I was going to put up, but I'm not going to do that. And I was talking about the files of said person. Of course, I watched the video because I saw everything he was doing wrong. He didn't show the tool that he used to decrypt the files. And then there's a option on there that clearly says, please acknowledge that you're decrypting this file.
And that's with anything that's got any form of.
Let's edit the video and put it up so people don't see what's really happening from beginning to end.
That's anything with any form of encryption on it.
Oh God! Just go on GitHub. Just go on GitHub and look at Cemu, and then look at the type of files that it accepts, and then there's certain formats there. All of the formats that are playable are decrypted. Now ask how they get decrypted, because they're not that way on the disk.
Well, it's not.
Didn't tell me how what you're doing is legal.
I'll give you an example. A good example is torrenting. Torrenting is not illegal, but what's illegal is the fact that you're using decrypted file formats.
Yeah, for something that was intended to stay encrypted. So if you break CSS or whatever, you know, then that's where you start getting into torrenting waters.
Torrenting itself is not illegal.
Nope.
if I put an album up right now and I say catch it on Microturn or whatever, feel free to. It's not breaking anything. I'm allowing you to. I'm saying here's the link directly on my page to go get it. That's fine, well and good. I guess the problem is the stigma herein is the majority of people use it for illicit reasons. Mm-hmm. So you associate that with whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of legal emulation programs out there. Plenty of them. I think does GOG run its own container? Do a lot of those the good old games, do they run in their own container when you try to run them? Or do they run as dedicated executables? Either one of y'all use good old games? I haven't used it in a while.
What do you mean? What do you mean when you have to where you have to actually dump the game in the emulator?
Yeah, I was wondering if Good Old Games did that or not, or they wrote their own shell for them to run in on Windows these days. I haven't checked with them in a while, but they're pretty legal. They went through all the trouble to make sure the games were reformatted in the way they should be currently, so that way you don't have to go and well they have new games on there now too, but that way you don't have to go and try to find the original version of DOS to run Tomb Raider and all the other kind of dumb shit.
Yeah, that was like when you had to use the PlayStation when they had the PlayStation emulator, and you had to get all these different little extra patches and stuff like that to make it work.
Yep. So yeah, I don't really have a game of the year for 2018 yet. My game of the year for 2018 is probably going to be Xenoblade Chronicles, and the only reason why I say that is because it's never going to be nominated for Game of the Year in the year that it launches, because it always launches in December, and people see that as the magical cutoff for whatever reason. So 2018 is going to be Xenoblade, because what other year can it be nominated?
Mm-hmm. So no other one, not really.
Yeah. So right now it's that for me.
I was going to ask you, ShadowFox, and Jay as well. Do you, because with the way things are going in terms of like gaming and stuff like that, how it's becoming it's just becoming a much broader. It's becoming much more than just gaming itself, and with all the things that Nintendo are doing and stuff like that, and with the direction that smart TVs and all that kind of stuff are going in, could you potentially, maybe not now, maybe for another maybe 5-10 years, but could you potentially see Nintendo bringing back the Nintendo TV? But basically what you have,
I would hope they would, because
basically what you'd have is a TV that has original Nintendo content, like shows, this, that, and whatever, as well as, it has it's obviously it will be a smart TV where it's at the point where it can run its own dedicated games and all that kind of stuff. So not even just like so much even Nintendo TV, but a service that also comes with it.
I think it'll probably be, if they do it, it'll probably be reserved to hotels again. Kind of like how they, in Japan, they even did Satellaview in hotels. It might be something like that.
Came back.
Does everybody know the particulars about the Bleem situation? Okay, awesome, sweet. Let me fix that real quick.
Man, don't make me have to call Rodimus Prime.
That's what I do. So is it fixed now, or I stuff?
Yeah, it's better.
No, you good. Okay. You good now.
So I saw this brought up twice. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna iron that one out too, because I don't want any more excuses to fly under the radar. So does anybody know in particular what the situation was with Bleem and how they wiggled out of one lawsuit and started another one and things like that? Anybody remember what that whole situation is? I mean, I could just Google it and read it.
I don't.
But you got to have a little bit of common sense to understand what's going on. First of all, Bleem is just an emulator. That's literally all it is. What happens with Bleem is the result of the user of Bleem. So I guess the problem with Bleem being taken off the market was the fact that you could buy it and it wasn't free. But I don't see, why wouldn't you be able to charge for an emulator? You should be able to. It's your software. You should be able to do whatever you want with it. Yeah, I don't understand what the situation was. What the situation? Why people were thinking that you couldn't sell it. You should be able to if you did the work to program it. So the whole situation was the copy protection thing is what the copy protection being the encryption would have been the situation where they could have gotten Bleem, right? So what you did was Bleem had a little workaround. So you buy the little Bleem CD or whatever, right? And it's got a little DirectX emulator in there, and the DirectX emulator pointed to things at runtime in the PlayStation. So it wasn't necessarily defeating copy protection. It was pointing another library to the PlayStation while it was running the disk. So nothing off the disk was ever taken.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's and so they made updates to it. So okay, so this is what the wiki says. It says to combat redistribution of the small downloadable emulator, the user had to buy the Bleem CD with 35 megs of data, a DirectX executable, and the actual version of Bleem available at the time of the CD's printing. The rest of the CD was only for copy protection and was impossible to copy by conventional means. Nevertheless, the copy protection was cracked within 2 weeks after release. Further updates to the emulator were free until the company ceased operation several years later. So the way that it was designed, it was pointing to other stuff on here. And so the Sony lawsuit says they started, it's a Sony filed suit against them for alleging they were violating their rights and providing access to PlayStation games to run on non-Sony hardware that constituted unfair competition. Bleem won in court. It says to protect David from Goliath, Sony lost on all counts, including Bleem's use of screenshots of PlayStation games on the packaging. The court noted that Bleem's use of copyrighted screenshots were considered fair use and should be allowed to continue. And it said, despite the legal victories, the legal fees allegedly forced the company to go out of business because they couldn't afford it anymore. But everything that they did and how it worked, was that it was emulating a PlayStation through and through. So there was no way you could combat. There was nothing being done to extract data off the disk. Bleem was just running its program on your PC, and it was making your computer think that it was a PlayStation. That's all it was. So obviously, there's nothing.
Isn't that all any console is? It's just taking a computer, is just taking components of a computer and making it think it's something. It's just dedicated. I mean, that's the concept of any computer, any operating system or computer device or anything. It's just to feed you an illusion that it's to feed you an illusion that it's of something that has this particular use. And really and truly, you strip all of it down, it is just a bunch of circuit boards and wires.
Yeah, so, well, I guess the issue with current emulation versus Bleem was that a current emulation now doesn't require you to have the original hardware or the original disk, technically. So there's no, there's rumors where you can take, Saturn disk and plug them into a certain type of DVD-ROM or whatever and be able to play Saturn games as if it were a Sega Saturn, but those by and far are not available as we speak right now. You have to take some type of disk dump. That the term dump means that it's been decrypted. You've dumped all the data. It's not raw data. It's decrypted data, and then you run that in your executable and then go from there. Bleem was literally talking to your disk drive as if it was a PlayStation, and it's reading all the data live. There's no like they literally said it was only 35 megs worth of data on the disk that actually contained Bleem. Bleem didn't have anything in there that was breaking any type of encryption itself.
Just a question. When they used to chip the chip what they call chipping the PlayStation, is that literally is that literally disabling its what is it? Is that disabling its thing decryption key. So is that disabling its like main decryption key so that and giving it a different decryption key so that it can read off basically the decrypted version of the software, or was it something different?
It's literally it's a little more advanced than anything that's happening on the Wii U right now. On the Wii U currently, what you have to do is get a dump of the disk or dump it yourself, and then either you would extract an already decrypted dump, or you would take the raw dump and then decrypt it, and then it's in the correct file format that you need to insert into the emulator. There is no way currently to take Cemu, stick a Wii U disk inside of a PC, and then run said game. Now, if there is, I'd love to see that in the chat. But there's no case of that. You have to find said games, usually by illicit means, and download them already decrypted, or you dump them and decrypt them.
No, what I'm saying is, how did it work when they used to like physically chip the PlayStations back in the day?
Oh, when they used to physically, when you're using the chips, you can just burn a disk that will copy it, and it will basically read. It will read a burn disk as if it had all the file structure of a mastered PlayStation disc, which is the same thing that happened with the Dreamcast as well.
But what I want to know is, was it a similar process to like the whole decrypting an encrypted file or whatnot, or something like that?
No, because you're still the CSS encryption is still even on the dump that you had that you burned to the PlayStation. It's still seeing that. It's just you have to make that file structure exactly the same. And most CD writers didn't have that at first until people started dumping disks the right way.
So what would have stopped the PlayStation from reading a burn disk?
Updates to
overriding.
Updates to firmware that would basically break the chip. If you tried the chip mod or whatever, it wouldn't work anymore. That's the only other way to do it, because there was no way to update the firmware on the original PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Or PlayStation 2 for that matter.
So it was just using the chip to just alter the firmware, basically.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was something more complex.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Caught up in all of that encryption talk.
Yeah. So I'm still. So we can go. I will clearly. We can just ask the question: can Cemu play Wii U discs? Not interested in pirating. I just want to use a Wii U disc in my drive and load a game for there. Do I have to rip an ISO? It says you can't rip games without a Wii U. That answers your question right there. That was the very first answer. That was the very first answer. So you need a Wii U drive connected to a PC in some way, shape, or form to assist in ripping the game.
Oh, there you go. Problem solved.
I mean, and you can go to cemu.com as well, whatever the name of the page is. I forget what it was, but they have their own homepage as well. The Wii U will start dumping the files off the disk. I mean, you could just, all of this is here. All of this is here. It tells you the entire process of what's happening. Turn on your Wii U. Wii U will start backing up the game. And so this little program right here, which people fail to admit exists. If you there's a program here, and it's called cdecrypt. And you have to use that to dump each and every version of each Wii U game for each territory. cdecrypt is a decryption tool. You are breaking encryption, and it gives you a warning before you use it that you're breaking encryption, thus breaking copyright law, making it illegal.
There we go.
Cemu itself doesn't use it, but if you want to use any of the ROMs that you download, any of the ISOs that you download, it has to go through that.
You see, again, this is the problem. People don't really have an understanding of how this stuff works.
Now, what I just said, I want anybody to tell me what I just said was incorrect. I want you to show me. I want you to show me you downloading a fully encrypted ISO and then putting it in a Cemu and it works.
You're asking people
since
to
we're clearing up excuses.
You're asking people to provide observable evidence.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is for a lot of people?
I don't know. He put together a doctor video completely omitting that part pretty quickly. So I guess it's pretty easy to chop up loads of time. And I mean, to the point where you didn't even show what file you had and what that file name meant. So there's different extensions for each type of file you have, whether it's encrypted or decrypted. We can go over that list too, but I'm not going that far. Anyway, I'm done with that. So, all right, man. Well, so we can go ahead and call this a night. All I've done is kind of go back and forth with. These are all things that I've talked about over and over again. This is nothing that hasn't been talked about before, and it's nothing that. I mean, you can watch a YouTube video on Cemu and know the exact same thing that I'm saying. It's nothing. It's not nothing complicated at all. Mm-hmm. It is a emulator that requires decryption. It is not Blame.
You want to know more? Do your research.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Why do that when I can just argue with you?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's not going to get you nowhere, but I mean, you can try.
No. And if I'm wrong. And you show me where you can go get into Cemu. I want to see a video of somebody taking a Wii U disc, putting it in their PC, it taking the disc on the PC, running it, and it's not decrypting anything. Cemu opens up and runs a game.
Yeah, and don't show me one of them videos with them stupid websites that you have to go to that make you take a survey and say once you do this, you get the program to do all that and blah blah blah. Yeah, I know. And ones that say, oh, 100% legit, genuine, foolproof way to play games, play the disc on your Wii U into your freaking PC. No, I don't want to see that bullshit. And if I do see that bullshit, then I want to see you trying it for yourself, filling in them damn surveys, and see if you get anywhere.
My problem is I don't understand where these arguments are coming from, because anybody that's actually used Cemu, this is what you have to go through to get it to run any game.
Well, yeah, that was it just is what it is. It's people for you.
Yeah.
You know, even when you have the evidence to show that something is right, they will still try and prove you wrong.
Yeah. Even after what I just said, all you're doing is proving me right again. You can't take a disc and put it in a PC and play it. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that, that means that it cannot directly read what is encrypted on that disk, which means the disk is encrypted, which means that for you to use it on anything other than a Wii U, you're breaking encryption and breaking copyright law.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go.
And it's pretty black and white. I can go to a Wikipedia page, or I can go to a law page that shows what copyright law is and all that kind of stuff in quote sections, subsections, or whatever. That's a little too far in the weeds, and that's going to bore people that aren't interested in technology. So I won't do that. But no, we're going to go ahead and take it out real quick. This has been ShadowCast 30.
Wow, we on 30 now?
Yeah, we actually at 30 now. I'm trying to do them semi-regularly, other than once a year like I did last year almost. So Double M, where can people find you, man?
Hey, man, they can... as you know, I'm not really on the gaming side of things as much anymore, partly just because, I've kind of just accepted the current gaming community for what it is and just think, let me just let them get on with their own devices. But, music-wise, if you want to find me, SoundCloud, SoundCloud.com/Alpha Instagram, I do some silly stuff on there, so that's also Alpha Disciple, and Twitter, although I don't post much in there, but also Alpha Disciple.
Awesome. Sweet. Hey, make sure you guys sub double him if you get a chance. Follow him on all his many different channels. Give him likes and stuff on his different posts, and go from there. Geek Alley, where can we find you other than Geek Alley?
Find me on Twitter. You can find me in Wakanda. You can find me on Instagram. And I usually hang out more on G Plus than Facebook, but don't worry about Facebook. G Plus, and that's pretty much where you can find me.
I'll be puffing on that Black Panther heart daily.
Oh yeah, the whole.
That's what I'm saying, man.
We all live in Wakanda type deal.
Wakanda forever, man. Salute all day long. That Wakanda forever salute all day long, man. That's how I do after I win every video game I play. That's what I do after I win. Wakanda salute.
I tell you what. So it doesn't look like I have an unanswered question here in the chat because they want to go into that detail over and over again. What I'll do, I'll just make an extremely detailed video showing exactly what's going on with that. I'll do that at some point and put it back up. I have one, but it's very, how can I say this? It's derogatory. I don't want to make my channel all derogatory. It should be about providing information and not trying to put down other people more than anything else. So with that being said, just stay tuned and your question will be answered. It's nothing like other channels that you pay for a question and they still don't even answer it. I'll at least acknowledge that it was asked. So that being said, this is ShadowCast 30. And as I tell everybody each and every single day, whether it's emulation or not, do you play games to have fun or to impress other people?
Impress other people, of course, man. Come on.
You already know. You already know, man.